30-year-old medical billing clerk, Diana Young, is suing her ex-boyfriend, 38-year-old business owner Craig Perry, for stealing her Cadillac. Craig says Diana never paid him back for the vehicle, so he took it. He's countersuing for the car's depreciation.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 448 on the calendar in the matter of Young versus Perry. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
All right. Miss Young, the defendant is your former boyfriend, and you do have a child together.
Yes.
According to your complaint, there came a time when he purchased a car for you. It was a used car. Purchase price of the car was $1,800. Is that correct, sir?
That's correct.
According to you, you gave him a check for $1,008, and he said to you the rest was a gift.
No.
Shh. I said according to her. And then sometime later, he took back the car without your permission. You want to be reimbursed for the $1,008 check that you gave him, as well as for items that you claim were in the car when he repossessed it. Is that your lawsuit?
Yes.
You, on the other hand, Mr. Perry, claim that you did in fact purchase a car for her. She gave you a check for $1,008, and there was an agreement, since you had put this car on your American Express bill, that she would pay you the other $800 before you had to pay your entire American Express bill. She didn't make the payments. You took back the car.
That is correct.
And then you have a countersuit for $750 that you claim is depreciation on the car during the time she drove it. When did you purchase the car, sir?
November the 16th, Your Honor.
And you brought it home to her?
To her residence, right.
Were you living together at the time?
No.
Okay. Now, he brings the car home to your residence, and you have a conversation. And tell me your version of the conversation.
Okay. He heard of it. I was looking to buy another car. He heard of a really good deal on a particular car, and I was not able to go see the car because I was in school taking final exams. We had a discussion. I said, why don't you go check it out and tell me about it, pay for it, and I'll give you the money back. When he went to the dealership, he called me back and forth describing the car, describing the mileage, describing how much they wanted for it. And I said, because in the beginning the whole thing was I was going to purchase. I did have the money. He purchased the car. He came to my residence with the car. And as I was driving back home, I made a statement, you know, you should really just buy this car from me. We've been together for 5 years. You know, you can afford it.
Now, just a second. Now, let's go slowly, Miss Young.
Okay.
You said to him, you should really buy this car for me?
Well, yeah, we have been talking off and on about things that I need that in the relationship people help each other out with.
Tell me about the conversation that you claim you had with him at the house.
Now, after we got to his residence where I was going to drop him off, I said, how much should I make this check out for?
No. You started to say something about we were in a relationship a long time, so I said you really should buy me the car. When did you have this conversation
As
with
I
him?
was taking him home after he got to my house with the car.
Yeah.
And I was taking him back to his house.
So tell me about that conversation. I want to hear what you said to him and what he said to you.
He said that he couldn't do it right then. He wasn't in a position to buy the car.
All right, so you asked him, you said you should be a good guy and buy this car for me, and he said no.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay, so when I get to his house, I asked him how much should I make this check out for. He said, he thought for a moment.
Look at me. Look at me.
He thought for a moment, and he said, well, make the check out for $1,000.
No.
It's $1,000.
Listen to me, Mr. Perry. You're going to have an opportunity, but don't interrupt her. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
The purchase price was $1,807.98. He said, well, make it out for $1,007.98, which is $800 less than the purchase price. After he told me how much to make it out for, he complained on how he felt that he really shouldn't be doing this. And in other words, he kind of got the feeling that he was helping me out, but he kind of didn't want to, but he did because he knew it was, you know, something that I had asked him, if you understand what I mean.
I'm listening.
The rest of it is, again, we never made any agreements on repayment, nothing like that, because the balance of it was a gift.
No, I'll decide whether it was a gift.
Okay.
All right, so what happened with the car?
Right after Christmas, I called the dealership because I had temporary plates in the window, and I'm asking them, where are the plates? I need the plates. They told me that he had picked up the plates 3 weeks prior. I called him at home and asked him, well, why do you have the plates? Why won't you give me the plates in my car? And he got really upset at that point and said, well, my name is on that car too. Well, can I back up? When he gave me the bill of sale, when I gave him the
All the
check,
way back, you wanna
when I
go.
gave him the check, he gave me the bill of sales. I asked him, why is your name on here? He told me that because he put it on his credit card, his name has to go on the registration also, and that he had signed a waiver at the dealership stating that the car was mine. As
Can I
I
see that
said,
bill of sale, please? All right. We're now a month later in December.
yes,
December what?
December 27th.
12/27, he takes back the car.
12/27, we had a discussion on the phone when I was asking him about the plates, that I need the plates, the registration is going to fall, and the dealership said you picked up the plates. Why did you pick up the plates, and why won't you give them to me? He said, well, that car is in my name too. I said, well, we both know the car is mine. You know, it doesn't matter whose name the registration is in. You know, that doesn't matter to me. The car is mine. The next day when I came home from work, my garage was open and the car was gone. I knew he had took the car. However, I filed a police report for a stolen vehicle. The police in my city told me that even if I had paid 90%, he paid 10% because there's two names on the registration, that they cannot put a stolen vehicle suit on that, that they can only do the criminal trespassing and taking it without permission.
Okay. Now, what items do you claim were in the car when he took it?
Okay, our son's child seat is in the car. He has not,
Who purchased that?
he refuses to
Hey!
return it.
I'm sorry.
Child seat. Go ahead.
I also have, it was some cowboy boots in the car. I had bought two pair. One pair for him, one pair for me. He has his. Mine were still in there. I have the receipt for those.
Let me
bought
see
them
it.
later.
Let me see it. Shh, just a second.
I
Just a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. What's next?
I also had my stethoscope because I'm going to nursing school and some school supplies in the car. Also, there is, now I don't know how you got, who he had to get the car, but I also had a gold chain in the car. It's in a box. It was actually a gift for him for Christmas, but we broke up before Christmas, so
Just
I
a
never gave it
second.
to him.
Wait 1 second. Where is the...
The receipt for that is in the car with the stuff.
Oh, well, you can get another receipt for the chain. What is this bill for Jarp's Western Store? Is that for the boots that you say were still in the car?
Yes.
Were there boots in the car?
No, Your Honor.
No, there weren't.
No.
No, there weren't.
Yes, all of those things.
No, there weren't.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Diana Young says ex-boyfriend Craig Perry stole her Cadillac. Craig says he paid for the vehicle.
Miss Young,
Yes.
the bill for Western boots is dated 12/14.
That's right, before. Okay.
Oh, I understand before. But unless you can come up with a really fast answer as to why you kept brand new cowboy boots in the car for 2 weeks and a brand new gold necklace that you were going to give him for Christmas in the car, in its
Yeah.
box.
Do you want the explanation?
Oh, yeah, I would like the explanation.
I have two vehicles. All of those things were in that car after I purchased it. I left them in the car. And actually, I left a lot of Christmas gifts in the car. And when Christmas came, I took the kids' stuff out, my family things out, and I left certain things in there. The car was in the garage. I drove the van around. I didn't really think nobody would take the car or the stuff in the car.
All right.
I mean, I have new stuff in my other van right now.
Well, that's pretty stupid considering the fact that you already knew that anybody can go into a car and take out stuff from the car. I don't believe that there was anything other than the child seat in the car. What about the stethoscope?
Yes, Your Honor, it was.
That was in
And
the car,
some school-
and that
school
you
things.
have,
Yes.
and that you're going to return.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Common sense suggests that your gold chain that you bought him for Christmas after you had these
I actually
words
was
on
going
the
to
phone,
return it.
then you have it in your house. And also your new cowboy boots. You bought them on the 14th. What were you
Right.
doing leaving him in the car?
Especially
I just
when I got mine
explained it
December
to you.
No,
7th.
no. They weren't a Christmas present for him. You said
No,
you
they
bought
weren't.
two pair.
Yes.
One for you, one for him.
Yes.
He's wearing his, and you left yours in the car. Why?
There was no reason to take them out.
There was no reason to take cowboy boots into the house? Right. All right. Miss Young,
Yes.
I've been around the block a little bit.
Okay, that's
Okay.
fine.
So far, you're ahead of the game on your $1,008.
Okay.
Stethoscope you're going to get back. Let's get to the child seat. Who bought the child seat?
I did, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
Yes, he purchased it.
You use that child seat?
No, Your Honor, I don't.
Oh, if you don't use it, then you're going to give it back to her.
Yes, I am.
I've been asking
Oh,
him for
fine.
it.
So you're going to give her back her stethoscope, any medical stuff that she has, any notes, any books, and anything else?
The only thing that was in the car, Your Honor, was the baby's bag, my son's bag, a stethoscope, like she said, and the car seat itself.
Okay,
That's
you're going to
it.
give those things back to her
Can you
within
ask,
24
I'm sorry.
hours. Yes.
Can you ask him who took the car? Because did you take the car?
Just a second. Don't ask him. You said, can I ask him?
Yes,
I don't
please.
care who took the car. He took it back. He acknowledges he took it back. Okay. Mr. Perry, you tell me about the conversation when you brought the car home.
The conversation when I brought the vehicle home, I spent the night at her house that particular night. We woke up that morning, and she was to drop me off at home, which she did. When we got in front of my home, I'm breaking out the paperwork because she already knew what the total amount was. All of a sudden, now it's like, well, you know, it's getting ready to be close to Christmas time, and my money's kind of short. Huh? What do you mean short? Okay, what can you give me right now? Well, I can give you $1,000 right now, and then I can give you
Miss Young,
$400 payments.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, sure.
To him? Say the same thing
She
to
said,
you.
I can give you $400 payments. I said, okay, well, that's fine, as long as I get it before the bill is due. She said, oh, I can do that. Okay?
Listen to me. I want to see your American Express bill.
Sure, right here.
Thank you.
One is the bill itself, and the other is where I made the payment on the bill.
Okay. So she agreed to make payments on the bill.
She agreed to
Excuse
make
me?
payments. She never made any payments on it. Every time that I asked about the payments, it's like something come up. I do have a 17-year-old son with her, okay, which I love very much. I'm trying to deal with her in the situation, okay? I did not start sweating her until after she started constantly asking me about the license plates to the vehicle. I said, Diane, I have the license plates to the car. She said, well, I tell you what, I'm going to report the license plates stolen. I said, what do you mean you're going to report the license plates stolen? She said, you keep the license plates. I'm going to report them stolen because the title was coming to my house in the first place, and I'm not going to give you any more money on the vehicle. I said, how can you do that? She said, because I called down there and had the address changed, because it originally is in my address.
Okay. You took back the car.
I took back the car, yes.
All right. Mr. Perry, this is not a very difficult case. She drove the car for approximately a month. Is that
That's
right?
correct.
Your counterclaim is dismissed for $750 for depreciation on the car. It's nonsense. You know it's nonsense, and I know it's nonsense. Okay. The items that were in the car when you took back the car, because I do find that there was an agreement that she would pay you the additional $800, I believe.
me.
Put your hand down.
That is not true.
Put your
That's a
hand.
lie.
Hey, look at me. Don't speak. I'm ruling. I listen to you. I listen to you. Now you listen to me. I do believe that there was an agreement to pay off
That is not true.
the additional $800 for the car. You, Miss Young, are absolutely entitled to your $1,008 back. You are absolutely entitled to your medical equipment that was in the car that the defendant is going to return to you. And he has indicated that despite the fact that he purchased the car seat, that also will be returned to you. I do not believe that you left a brand new gold chain or brand new boots for weeks in your car. I think that's a lot of baloney. So I am entering a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,008, and I am dismissing your counterclaim for the car's depreciation.
Your Honor, can I say one thing? Her name, by her name still being on the title of the vehicle, is it any way possible that she can sign off on that title by me giving her, refunding her the money?
Oh, yeah. Do you have that?
No, I don't have anything.
All right.
Back
Very,
up.
very easy. Miss Young, with the entry of this judgment in the amount of $1,008, do you agree that you will relinquish all title and interest in the car that is currently in the defendant's possession?
I have no problem with that. I
So
just
the
want my
answer
money
is
back.
yes, you will.
Sure, I will, yes.
Yes, you will. Then that will be part of the order, that the plaintiff agrees that upon receipt of $1,008, she will, in fact, sign over title to the defendant. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
You lied. First of all, I hate that it had to go this far. Second of all, he lied.
I think the judge was very fair, and she saw right through her lying.
There was no agreement for this vehicle, and he knows it, and I know it. There was no payment arrangements.
There was a verbal agreement.
There was no agreement at all, and you know it, Craig.
I'm lying, Diane?
Yeah.
20-year-old waitress Raquel Garcia is suing the father of her child, 23-year-old construction worker Luis Cisneros, for a loan to pay his warrants and damage to her car.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 204 on the calendar in the matter of Garcia versus Cisneros. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Garcia, you and the defendant had a long-term relationship, and according to what I've read, you have a child together.
Yes.
How old is the child?
He's 4.
You claim that sometime in 1999, the defendant had gotten a series of tickets as a result of being in an accident.
Yes.
What kind of tickets were they, sir?
My license was suspended, and I went to court and I had to pay $1,600.
And according to you, Ms. Garcia, the defendant asked you if you could loan him $3,000 to pay those parking tickets.
Yes.
After some time, you did, in fact, agree to pay the parking tickets with your tax refund.
Yes.
Did you give him a check for $3,000, or did you pay those tickets directly?
I gave him the money. It was all cash. When I went to deposit the check, I took out half of that money, and then the rest I just gave it to him because I'm only allowed to take out $200 out of my bank account at a day.
Why?
That's just my agreement with my bank. It's a credit limit. This
isn't credit limit. You put in a government check from the Internal Revenue Service.
Mm-hmm.
How much was the check that you deposited?
It was $3,439.
So you deposited
Mm-hmm.
a U.S. check, a check from the Treasury,
Mm-hmm.
of over $3,000.
Yes.
How did you get the cash?
I have the transaction here.
Let me see.
That's the amount I deposited, and that's the amount that I put in. That's all they let me take out, the difference of that.
You have your bank statement?
Yes.
Let me take a look at it. Maybe I can make heads or tails after I take a look at the bank statement. Okay. When did she give you this money, sir?
I never received no money from Raquel.
How did you pay your tickets, your accident tickets?
I didn't have to ask her for the money.
How did you-
I paid the tickets on my own, my
How?
money. I have a job. I work. And
Well, you didn't pay the tickets when they were originally due, sir. So
No.
there were penalties. Correct?
no, the ticket, it was for $1,600. When they gave me the judgment, $1,600, and they gave me 2 months to pay. And, in time, 2 months to pay the full amount.
Yeah.
And I paid it like on April, the end of April. And I paid the whole amount.
I have statements here of the bank
And I
that,
think I was kicked out of her house.
Just a minute. You have statements from the bank that say what?
tickets, the tickets that he got. And he was not kicked out of the house. He was cheating on me, so
I
he
don't-
left the house.
Just a second.
Your Honor, that does not have her address on it.
No, he left it in my house.
She kept my stuff.
Well, this doesn't say you owe him $1,600, sir. This says you owe him almost $2,000. When do you say you paid this money, sir?
The end of April of this year.
And how much did you pay?
I paid $1,650.
No.
Your Honor, I don't believe that's that same ticket then. Because I do have 2 tickets. At that time, I had told her about a ticket. It was just 1 ticket. And then they caught me again, and they gave me another ticket
Caught you again for what?
for driving with us on a suspended license.
How much was that ticket?
That one was more.
How much?
I don't remember the full amount, about $2,200 and something.
You were living together at the time?
Yes.
How did he say he was going to repay you?
He was going to get a check from the union for $5,000, which is his vacation pay. And he said he would give me that amount.
Okay. The second part of your lawsuit, Ms. Garcia, is about damage to your car on the day that you terminated your relationship with Mr. Cisneros. According
Yes.
to you, you found the defendant in your car with another woman. You had an argument, and sometime later, he did a lot of damage to your car.
Yes, he did.
Tell me about that incident.
Well, he went to my house, and that's how I got the restraining order against him. He went to my house and tried to pick up some of his belongings. And I let him go inside the room, take out everything he wanted that was his. He tried to take some of my stuff, so I told him, no, just your belongings. You came for your stuff. So when he went in there, he threw a CD case at me because I told him that was mine. He just picked it up and he threw it at me and said, fine, and he cursed at me. My son went into the room, and I told him to leave because I didn't want him to see me and his father arguing. And I told him, no, let him stay there. Let him stay. Let him see what type of person you really are.
Let's get outside because your
So
car
then-
isn't in the house.
Yeah, so then we went to his mom's house. I went to his mom's house, and I saw him walking towards it
Why'd you go to his mother's house for?
because he had called her saying some bad things about me, and I just wanted to correct that. And when I was backing out of the driveway, he kicked my car. He was arguing over my son's toy.
My son had a toy, and he had it on top of the back of the dashboard, on the back seat, and he saw it, and he goes, that's my son's toy. And I said, no, I bought that for him. He goes, no, that's my son's toy. I said, no, I bought that for him. And he just was really upset. I mean, when he gets mad, he gets really violent. So he just kicked my car.
All right. And you
I have the
police
pictures
report?
and everything.
You have a police report on that in the photographs? Let me take a look at it.
That's everything I have in the car.
You want to tell me about this incident, Mr. Cisneros?
Yes, the day we broke up, I went to her house to get my belongings. When she told me, okay, come in, exactly the way she said. I went into the room to get my belongings, and I tried to grab some pants that she had bought me, along with some other pants of mine. She pulled those away from me, breaking the hanger, just making a big old scene. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to fight with you. You want to have all this? Go ahead. I started walking away. I got on the phone. I called my mother at her house on my cell phone. Could I stay there because I had nowhere to go?
Yeah.
She says, okay, go ahead. So I started walking. It's only a block away. She followed me to my mother's house. I was maybe 4 or 5 houses away from my mother's house. She speeded up, entered my mother's driveway. I walked into my mom's gate, walked past her, walked into my mom's door because it was open. She was waiting for me at the door. That was it. She was getting out the car, and my mom goes, oh, I thought you guys are broken up. What's she doing here? I go, don't worry, I'll tell her to leave. I opened the screen door and asked her, Rachel, can you leave? You don't have nothing to do here. So I'm not leaving. I don't have to leave. You ain't nobody to tell me to leave. I go, can you please leave before I call cops? Do what you want. I'm not leaving. This is not your house. This is your mother's house. Anyways, I didn't come to talk to you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Listen to me. You're not following me. You just said he was never violent to women. What did you need a restraining order for?
Because he would also beat up on my son.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Raquel Garcia says the father of her child, Luis Cisneros, owes her for an unpaid loan and for the damage caused when he kicked her car. Luis says Raquel is lying about everything.
How did her car get dented?
I do not know how that
My
on
son
her
will
car.
tell you. My son was there.
You don't want me to interview him, do you?
If you'd care, yeah. He saw everything. He knows how his dad is.
You mean to tell me you had your son in the car?
I had him in the car with me because I didn't have anybody to watch him. I went to go talk to his mom. His mom wasn't there. She had dropped off the kids at school.
Why did you, in this state of being angry with him, decide that this was the appropriate time to go to see his mother?
No, I wasn't angry.
Of course you were angry.
I wasn't. I was crying. I wasn't
Let's
angry.
say angry. Okay, angry, upset. You were you just told me that you found him with another woman sitting in your car.
No, that
You had
was
a
2
big-
days prior.
You had a big argument with him. Told him to get his stuff. He was getting his stuff out of the house. You had an argument with him over his property, whether it was his property or things you bought for him. There was discussions going on.
No,
in
we
TV.
were arguing over a sweater that I had bought for myself.
Whatever. You were arguing.
Yeah, we were.
So, what did you take that moment for if he's leaving and if he's gone out of the house to put your son in the middle of a potential problem?
Because
You're not receiving. You're speaking.
Because that
You're
day-
not receiving. You're speaking.
Okay, that
Why did you choose that moment to put your son in a position of risk by going to his mother's house where you knew he was going? Stupid.
yeah. I wanted to talk to
Stupid.
her.
No, because what you say does not have a ring of truth to it. You told me that he had a violent temper, that you had restraining orders against him, all this other stuff, and instead of just staying in your house and staying cool, you didn't tell me he was violent?
The restraining order was filed on June 19th.
You didn't tell me he was violent
I did.
before?
Yeah.
Of course you did. So if you told me he was violent before, and he was a little violent then...
But he was
and
never violent with women. He would always beat up guys.
So what did you need a restraining order for?
Because he would push me.
Listen to me. You're not following me. You just said he was never violent to women. Only to other guys. So I said if he was never violent to women, what did you need a restraining order for?
Because he would also
Then
beat
you
up on my son. His mom has the pictures to prove that.
Miss Garcia, I have a problem with a lot of things that you tell me. I do. I mean, not necessarily that I believe everything that he told me, but I have problems with a lot of things that you told me. I don't believe that you gave him $3,000.
I did.
I don't believe you.
I honestly, I did.
well-
His mom, I told his mom all the time. You can ask her. I told his mom all the time.
That what?
I'm loaning him this money. She goes, for what? I said, so I could give him, so he could pay the accident ticket.
Step up. You're Miss Cisneros?
Yes.
Do you ever have a conversation with Miss Garcia with regard to her giving your son money to pay off his tickets?
She said she was going to lend him the money, but I don't know if
Just
she
a
really
second.
did or not.
Just a second. Did she mention the amount of money she was going to give him?
No.
Okay. You deposited $1,679 of this check into your checking account, leaving a balance of $1,760, which you could have gotten back in cash.
They wouldn't give it to me.
Well, I don't know what you did with it, madam. I have no idea what
See,
you did
the reason
with
they wouldn't let me have all that money because all I had was $1 in there when I deposited that amount, and they told me I couldn't take out anything until the check was cleared. And when the check
There
got
is no
cleared,
deposit in your bank in an amount of
because
$3,439.
I withdrew half of that. That's why there was no deposit in that amount, because I withdrew half of that same day.
That's exactly what I said. And there is no other withdrawal here for another $1,500, which would have come to $3,000.
Because I can't take that much money out of my bank account. It's a savings account.
And there were no other withdrawals here within the next 30 days.
It's all the highlighted.
I see that. $61, $15, $2, $10.
Yeah,
I see
because-
that, but I don't see where there's a bulk check there, madam,
Because
for
that's how much-
$1,500.
That's how much other banks would charge me to take that amount of money.
You got a story for everything.
He would, no, look.
No,
he
no, no,
would-
no, no.
the-
Listen to me.
Where he would spend that money are here with these girls. This
I'm
is where
not
he would
talking,
spend
I don't
money.
care about that. You say you gave him $3,000.
Yeah.
I don't see where you got it from.
I showed you the refund. That's where I got that money from my tax
Miss
refund.
Garcia, pay careful attention, madam. If you had come here today and said to me, I gave him $1,700 to pay his parking tickets, I could see that. But when you make up nonsense that you gave him $3,000, that I don't believe.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Were they black and blue marks?
Yes.
I spanked him, but I did not beat him. I did not hit him.
Whatever, you spanked him.
Yes.
There were marks. Those are the marks that your mother saw.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Raquel Garcia says the father of her child, Luis Cisneros, owes her for an unpaid loan and for the damage caused when he kicked her car. Luis says Raquel is lying about everything.
Now, with regard to this damage to the car, sir.
I did not kick her car.
Yeah.
We were playing around, and she bumped into her car with her rear.
No, she did. She said one side to her rear. The other side, she said you did.
He goes, no, no, no. He goes, I feel really bad. I did that to your car. But he pushed me. We had me in a headlock. We were messing around, and I said that we were playing around.
You mean this was like a joke thing that sort of got out of hand?
He had me in a headlock. I tipped over with my heel, and I hit the car. But that's the other side. There's two sides to that car that were dented.
Well, the other side, I did not kick her car, and I don't know where she's getting that from.
It says in the police report. And that's what I'm telling you. You could talk to my son. My son witnessed it.
I hate to do that. I hate to put 4-year-old in the middle of a dispute between you two people. I really
It's
do.
not a dispute. My son doesn't like him. You should ask him what he did to him.
When did Miss Garcia, he allegedly beat up your son?
It happened the week before Easter because his mom
What
took
year?
him away from me this year.
When you say his mother took him away from you, what does that mean?
Because she took him away from me because she thought I did that to him.
Is that right, Mrs. Neros?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, but Mario told me that both of them had hit him, and he had marks on his little butt.
No,
But
Shh, just a second.
he
said-
told me both of them had hit him.
Did he
so
say
that's
when?
why I told him, you guys are not going to take him out of my house.
Just a second. Did he say when?
No, he didn't,
How did you find out?
because I took him a bath.
Were they black and blue marks?
Yes.
Were there numerous black and blue marks?
Not a lot.
Did you ask him how it happened?
Yes, I did.
And what did he say?
And he said, Mommy and Daddy did it.
He said both did it.
Yes.
Ever seen any other marks on him?
No. No.
Not since then?
No.
Did you ever see any before?
No.
Mr. Cisneros,
Yes.
why did you hit your son?
That day, he was acting up, but I spanked him in his rear. But I did not beat him. I did not hit him, as I were to hit anybody. I spanked him, told him to stop doing that, and he pays attention to me. He stopped right away, and she has a little thing where she calls timeout. I told him, go on timeout. So he went and he sat in a little sofa bed, and he sat down. That's it.
So you were the only one who hit him. His
Yes.
mother did not hit him at that time.
No. He kept on acting up. I told him, stop or I'm going to spank you. And he goes,
Whatever, you spanked him.
Yes.
There were marks.
Yes.
Those are the marks that your mother saw. And
I don't know what bruises they're talking about because they didn't let me see him. I don't know what they're talking about.
Your
the
mother
bruises.
saw bruises on your
Yeah,
son.
they saw bruises.
She
I
saw
never saw him
bruises
naked or
sufficient.
bruises on him.
Hey, quiet. Did you tell your mother that you were the only one who hit him that day?
I had told my mom I spanked him, but I did not. Well, I told him I spanked him, yes.
Did you say that Miss Garcia also hit him?
No, I did not say nothing about her.
So you say
I
you
didn't-
did?
Yes.
And it was after that that your mother gave him back?
No.
How long did you keep the child?
I kept
Mrs.
him like
Nurse?
for a week. and a
You
half,
did?
I think, yes.
Good for you. How many times did he hit him?
I'm telling you, he would lock the door whenever he would do this. He would hit him all the time. He would hit him all the time. My mom witnessed that, and she would even bang on the door telling us, leave him alone.
So what'd you let him stay in your house for?
I tried to give him a chance.
You tried to give him a chance.
I tried, because he
Listen
hadn't
to
seen
me.
his son for
Listen to
3 years.
me. Listen to me. You said to me, this is a violent man. He was violent with you. You said, no, he's only violent with other men. I said, if he's only violent with other men, why did you get a restraining order against him? You said to me, well, he's violent with children, too. Well, children? Which children?
My son.
Your child. Then you tell me that after being violent on more than one occasion, clearly, with your child, you let him stay in the house?
Yes,
Why?
because I thought I loved him.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have an estimate for the damage on this one side of the car only,
It's
please.
over there. It's a little paper, and that was an estimate from a friend.
Repair right fender and left fender. Costs $335, but he didn't cause the damage to both fenders, only to one. That's very cheap.
He's a friend of mine.
Miss Garcia, I cannot make heads or tails, madam, of this alleged loan to pay his tickets. What I believe that you did was try to figure out a way to get $3,000 when all you gave him was probably about $1,500. And that's going to cost you $1,500. I am, however, giving you $200 to have your fender fixed. This bill is $335 for both fenders. $200 should cover at least the one that he did by kicking it. You have some clothes there? Is that your counterclaim?
All my belongings.
What do you mean all your belongings?
Jackets, clothes, underwear, shoes, watches, jewelry, paperwork.
Watches and jewelry.
No, the watch he took, and the jewelry he took.
How much money have you paid weekly in child support for your son?
She still has not proved to me child support. She
I've asked-
lied to me that it's not my son.
Mr. Cisneros, how much have you given her for child
I
support?
have not
in
given her
6
nothing. Nothing.
Good. So with all the money that you saved, go out and buy yourself some new clothes. Your counterclaim
I
is
have bought
dismissed.
them.
Good.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Can I have the rest of it?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's a cheater and he's a manipulative liar.
She's been
Yes.
calling the other girlfriend.
She's been stalking
bothering
and
her.
calling my new girlfriend, my fiance, and she's been driving by the house.
I just think he's a big liar.
I would like her to take me to court and prove to me that that's my child because she lied to me before.
22-year-old Candy Loya is suing her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, 29-year-old homemaker Kimberly White, for keying her car. Kimberly is countersuing for mental anguish.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 51 on the calendar in the matter of Loya versus White. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Miss Lawyer, the defendant is your current boyfriend's ex-girlfriend.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you and Chad have a child together.
Yes.
How old is the child?
She is 4. She'll be 5 on Halloween.
Where is Wonder Boy?
At home.
Why isn't he here?
Don't
Didn't
know.
want to come.
Right.
It is your claim, Miss Lawyer, that the defendant keyed your car, causing extensive damage.
Yes.
It is your claim on your countersuit that the plaintiff keyed your car and in addition forced you to confess to keying her car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So let's get to your claim first. Did you witness the defendant keying your car?
No, I did not.
So what proof do you have that she keyed your car?
I have an audio tape that she confessed on
You have a tape of her confessing?
Right.
I'll hear it.
You would look to me that you keyed my car, nothing will happen. I'm just going to have to go get this fixed myself. But I'm telling you, if you admit it, don't ever show your face to me again. You already admitted it. Don't ever show your face to me again. I won't put a hand on you. I won't press charges on you. Nothing. Just admit it, because you've already admitted it once. Just say okay. Okay. Okay, what? I did it. Why? Because what? My car is keyed. And who did it? I don't know. Exactly. And you think it was me because I'm your baby's daddy's girlfriend. And I can take you on there right now to show you. My car is keyed. But did she do it? She's telling you she did not do it. Chad told me that you admitted to him on the phone that you did it because I did that to your car. I'll go over there and show you, Candy. And you have to prove that she does it. Exactly. She did. I did not do it. I vow on my grandmother's grave that I will never, ever key anybody's car. Okay, well, you was over here the other night, Candy. How many people live in these apartments? Did you see it when you actually walked out to the car, or did you see it the next day? I know when I come over here, my car was not keyed. And you was over here that night. That doesn't mean I did it. You was over here that night. Doesn't mean I did it. And what happened here that night? I was very off at Chad. Yes, you was. And me too, wasn't you? I hate your guts. I know you do. But I would not do that to your car. Well, my car was keyed. And I can take you over there right now and show you my car. I don't deny that your car is keyed. The point is, you didn't have proof that I did it, which I surely did not. And the fact is that my car is ugly now. Oh, my car is too. Why would she waste her time on somebody she hates? Well, yeah. Why would I waste my time on you? So that the same can happen to my car? No. I know how it feels to get my car keyed. This is the second time a brand new car of mine has been terrorized. That's not Chad's car, that's her car. That is my car. You do not take out your animosity towards Chad on me, ever. And when you get out of this car, we will go look at your car for the simple fact that I don't give a But when you go home, I want you to think about, no, leave that light on. When you go home, I want you to think about that you did to my car. When did you do it? Today. Where? Dad was at my house today. And he saw you do it. No, he didn't see me do it. When did he do it at your house today? Today, he came over to my house. And y'all No, we don't. Then why was there a condom in the trash can? That was because somebody else was over there the other night. What did Chad go over there for today? Chad come over there today. Did you lure him over there so that I did not. My car? No. It was just the perfect opportunity for you. No, Chad come over there today. For what? I didn't ask him to come over there. Okay. He come over there and it was the perfect opportunity for you to key my car. No. Chad came over there and Chad fell asleep. Okay? Oh, where, in your bed? Yes. He was asleep in my bed. And you know what? It'll be my pleasure to punch you in your mouth. But I'm not gonna lower myself to your standard. So what was he doing at your house today? He came over there today because he wanted to come over there. And do what? He wanted to come over there. And he fell asleep and you went out to my car and you keyed it? I went out there and I got my CDs out of your car. Today? Yes. And he stole my CD. And you stole my recording tape out of this recorder the other day, didn't you? Or not the other day, it was about a month ago. Yeah, I did. So should I charge you with theft also? If you want to. And I don't ever come in my house and take anything ever again. I won't. Don't ever come to my house, period. Don't ever come and see. Don't even page Chad. If he wants to see Kayla, he can come and see her with me. With me. He will never go to your house ever again. He will never be in my car alone ever again. I can't trust him, just like I don't trust you. I trust my mother and my family. That's the only people I can trust. You are with Chad, okay? I'm trying to get along with you and Chad. little girl? Yes, it is. Sleep with her daddy that doesn't ever sleep with his clothes on?
Does anything else on this tape have to do with the keying? Well, then turn it off. The first thing I'm going to tell you is, I would never allow your daughter to sleep over at the plaintiff's home again. Do you understand?
I haven't.
Because a child should not be exposed to the kind of hostility that the plaintiff feels towards you that will rub off on your daughter, and she's an innocent.
Yes, and she's
you
had
understand?
problems too because
You understand?
of it.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
And they held a knife to me. I was terrified for my life.
She stole this tape out of the car because she didn't want Candy to have evidence.
I don't blame her. I don't blame her!
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Candy Loya is suing her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, Kimberly White, for keying her car.
Let's make this as painless as possible. Without getting into your counterclaim of how this confession was coerced, did you key her car? I'm going to give you an opportunity to just think about the answer before, because you don't want to fall into my mouth if you don't have to. Did you key her car?
No, Your Honor, I didn't.
You had lent him your car?
He dropped me off at work and I guess went to her house straight from dropping me off.
When did you see that the car was keyed?
He picked me up from work and I didn't notice it, but we stopped to pick up an application for him. And when he came back to the car, he acted surprised and said, "Oh my God, your car's been keyed." So I got out and looked, and the entire car was keyed.
Now you had your car keyed.
Yes.
When?
Her and Chad had came over to my girlfriend's house where I was at, and they came upstairs. And Chad wanted to stay and visit me and Kayla, and Candy got mad. And she went downstairs and waited on him for a while. And he stayed up there. Well, she got mad, and she came back up there and got him and told him, "Chad, you come on. You're not going to stay over here no more. Come on." And Chad said, "Okay, Kim, I don't want no problems here at your friend's house. I'm going to go ahead and go, and I'll see Kayla tomorrow." I said, "Okay." And they left. I stayed there a couple of hours with my friend. Then after that, I got ready to leave. When I got ready to leave, I went downstairs, and I had to walk in front of my car. I noticed the whole hood of my car was scratched.
And it hadn't been scratched when you left it there?
No, it hadn't.
So now I have 2 keyed cars and no witnesses.
Yeah, but what she was talking about at her friend's house, we didn't actually go over there. We were driving down the highway, and she was coming back from the dope house in Dallas. And my boyfriend, or ex-boyfriend, and...
The ex-boyfriend is Chad?
Yeah.
So now he's an ex-boyfriend of yours, too?
Well, he's been an ex-boyfriend. Anyway.
For a while.
Why?
Since when?
For 4 months.
Okay. Tell me about this confession that I just heard.
Okay, Candy and her sister came over. They knocked on the door. Candy was as nice as could be. The sister was hiding down the stairs. She said, "Kim, can I talk to you?" Well, we used to talk about Kayla and my daughter, so I thought maybe she wanted to talk about that. She didn't want her coming over no more or something. So I said, "Okay." Well, we went downstairs, and here pops out her sister. Well, so I stand there and I look at them, and I was like, "What is it?" And she said, "Well, can we talk?" And it was cold. So I said, "Well, let's go down and get in my car." Well, once I got down there, I noticed I didn't have my keys. And she says, "Well, we can sit in my sister's car. It's warm. We just got here." So I said, "Okay." We got in the car. It was a 2-door sports car. I had got in the back seat. They got in the front seat. As soon as we got in the car, they locked the doors. The tape was not fully played, or something's been tampered with, because I was begging them to open the doors. "Please let me out." I was scared for my life. Then you can hear them. They're hollering at me, telling me, "You need to go on and say you did it." Well, before the tape was even played, they told me, "You need to say you did it. You know that whenever Chad was over there that day, you got up and you went down there and you keyed my car." And they held a knife to me. I was terrified for my life. So then...
How did they hold... Who held a knife to you?
The sister had the knife, and Candy held me down the back seat.
All I want to know is, just listen to my question. Was there a knife in your car?
No. No.
Do you feel, Miss Loya, that your presence and your sister's presence in the car locked was intimidating with or without a knife?
It was not locked, but no, I didn't have a knife, and I felt no reason to. And about...
I asked you whether you felt as if it was intimidating.
No.
Oh, no? The threats were being made by you two, not by her. Right?
Yeah. That's, well, there's a reason for that.
What's the reason?
She was high. She didn't know...
Then why did you take her in the car?
Because I wanted her to confess on tape that she did that to my car.
You can't do that. You can't do that. That's outrageous. You know what that is? Kidnapping.
Well, the doors weren't locked.
Kidnapping.
Yes, they was.
No, they weren't.
Whether they were locked or not, if it's a two-door car and she was sitting in the back, she could not get out of the car unless one of you, either you or your sister, got out of the car first to let her out. So it doesn't make any difference whether the doors were locked or unlocked. She was a virtual prisoner in that car. That, Miss Lawyer, is called kidnapping. Do you understand?
Yeah.
What?
Is it kidnapping when she says she will get in the car? I'm sorry.
Here we go.
She agreed to get in the car, and
Yes, she agreed
so
to get
how
in
is
the
that
car.
kidnapping?
Tell me why she agreed to get into the car. Tell me what you said to her.
It was cold outside.
No, tell me what you said to her.
Do you want to go talk in the car so we can sit in the car because it's warm?
Fine. And what was your intention when you went over there?
To get her to confess on the videotape.
Did you tell her that?
She knew that.
Did you tell her that?
No, ma'am.
Do you believe that if you had told her that before she got into the car, she would have gotten into the car?
No, ma'am.
Of course not. So you lured her into the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Now sit down.
Could I say something about a confession?
Sure.
2 days after this happened, Kim paged Candy at work. So Candy called me, and I called her on three-way. And so I asked her, why did you key Candy's car? And I said, why did you key my car? Because car's in my name. She said, I didn't know it was your car.
You have that conversation with her?
No.
Yes, you did.
I did page Candy because
What'd you page her for?
to talk to her about the car. Because she went over to my mother's house.
So what'd you call her for?
I just wanted to talk to her about it and tell
What did
her.
you want to tell
I
her?
wanted to tell her to stay away from my mother's house and don't go back over there with the tape. If you want to go to the police, go to the police. That's why I called her with that recorder and told my mother, if you will give me $1,700, I will not take this to the police. And my mother said, I will not do it.
Did you go over them?
She stole this tape out of the car because she didn't want Candy to have evidence.
I don't blame her. I don't blame her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Get real. Will you please?
I know that they're not living together anymore.
I don't care whether they're
because she
living
lives at
together
home.
or not. That doesn't mean they're not sleeping together if they're not living together. Right? Play in the mud, you get dirty. Understand?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Candy Loya claims her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, Kimberly White, keyed her car. Kimberly is countersuing for mental anguish.
So Chad is no longer in your life. Is that right? Perfect.
I just talked to Chad the other day. He told me they're still together.
Well, friends. They are not
Friends?
living together. Well, not friends, but
They're more than
acquaintances.
friends. And since all that's happened, I've had to take my daughter to counseling. I've had to see a psychiatrist.
you have a
I have
drug
a
problem?
letter. No, I don't.
Did you?
No, I did not.
You work?
No, I'm not working right now.
Why not?
Because I'm seeing a psychiatrist. I cannot work. They terrified me. I'm scared to go out of my house. I have a letter here from my doctor.
Let me see the letter from your doctor.
Well, it's kind of funny that I picked her up on Christmas Day, and you had no problem doing that. And I picked her up several Saturdays before to
Just
take
a
her to
minute.
visit Chad.
Just a second. You picked her up Christmas Day of 1999?
Yes, and I picked her
Just a second. To go
That
where?
is not true. She hasn't
Go
took me to see Chad.
To go
Not you,
quiet.
Kayla.
We had the agreement. Candy would come pick Kayla up so Chad could see Kayla and Candy would bring her back.
Does your doctor have you on any medication?
Yes, he does.
What kind of medication?
I am taking Selexia, and I take a sleeping pill because I cannot sleep because I'm always terrified thinking that they're over there watching me at my house or something.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I'm not satisfied that this confession that I've heard on that tape was taken under the circumstances that it is reliable. You had somebody who was coerced into a car, who was threatened, held in the car against her will, and I am not accepting that confession as proof that you keyed your car, so your complaint is dismissed. With regard to your car being keyed, that's dismissed. You have no proof. Miss Lawyer, I'm not giving you a dime for your damages to your car. If what you and your mother tell me is true and accurate, that this person still is part of your life, you deserve whatever you get. You deserve whatever comes to you. You will be in for nothing but heartache, and you're a young woman, but that's entirely up to you. You know, you play in the mud, you get dirty. You understand? Do you understand? Okay. So when you say to me they're just friends, no, they're just acquaintances,
Well,
get real. Will you please?
I know that they're not living together anymore.
I don't care whether they're
because she
living
lives at
together
home.
or not. That doesn't mean they're not sleeping together if they're not living together, right? She'll wind up one day on that side of the fence. You have a primary responsibility, Miss White. Your primary responsibility is to take care of your daughter. You pick this guy to father your child. You are in all probability stuck with him at least for the foreseeable future. He's going to be in your life. I strongly suggest that you don't take that out on anybody else. He's not worth it. And the worm isn't even here. Your cases are dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Well, I feel that justice was served, and I'm just glad to finally get this out of my way and get her completely out of my life.
She did it, and she knows she did it. I think I should have got paid for it because my car's still keyed.
It's just a simple case of jealousy.
She's mad because I was with Chad. That's the whole thing.
She has total hatred for me, so she wanted to blame it on me and make me pay for something because that's a way to get to me.
I want her to stay away from me. That's all I want.
Reggie Pelletier and his wife Linda are suing their sister-in-law, 42-year-old Diana Kane, for an unpaid loan and funeral expenses for Diana's late husband.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 116 on the calendar in the matter of Pelletier versus Kane. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Pelletier,
Yes.
it was your brother who was married to the defendant?
It was my wife's brother, Your Honor.
Your brother was married to the defendant at the time of his death.
Yes, Your Honor.
However, it's a rather long story before that, according to your complaint. According to your complaint, your parents were also alive, and there came a time when they came to live with you,
Yes.
and they came to live with you because they were in failing health.
Yes.
And at the time they came to live with you, your brother was living with them.
Right.
He had suffered a breakdown of some sort, and he was living with and being cared for by his parents.
Yes.
So you decided to take your mother, your father, and your brother into your home.
Yes.
Shortly thereafter, your father passed away. Is that right?
Yes.
And shortly thereafter, your mother passed away, several months later, leaving your brother. You okay? Your brother was, for both ladies, Bird.
No, I don't need one.
Your brother was visiting someone, and he suffered a heart attack?
No. He was in jail in South Carolina.
He was in jail?
Yes.
After we had got him out of the hospital, Your Honor, his last stay in the hospital in November of '99, he was very bad off, and we still tried
He was
to...
in a psychiatric hospital?
Yes, it was, ma'am. We still tried to maintain some semblance of living for him, and we still maintained the apartment that we had gotten for her mom and her dad, and we left him in there, let him stay in there. We supplemented his income and helped him with his monthly expenses. He, one evening, had taken his mother's automobile and left without telling anybody. I received a call on a Saturday afternoon that he had been incarcerated in South Carolina for some frivolous type crimes up there.
And how did he die in South Carolina?
He committed suicide in jail, Your Honor.
Okay, and what did you do?
We were notified by the Clarendon County Jail that evening And I immediately called the defendant, his estranged wife, and let her know that he had committed suicide, that he was dead. And we had several subsequent conversations over the next couple of days. And we had started making the arrangements, and that we were going to travel to South Carolina to pick up whatever personal effects he had left, along with his remains. And I had talked to the coroner up there, and we had made all the arrangements. I had very nice conversations with Mrs. Kane. We agreed, we bought her a plane ticket to come to Florida. We was going to let her stay in our home. We had a service planned for January 14th. We arrived in South Carolina on January 11th that afternoon, stayed there that evening. 9 a.m. I had an appointment with the coroner, the medical examiner.
Was Mrs. Kane there?
No, she was not.
Go ahead.
9 a.m. we walked in, and he was there with the chief of police. And they were very sad to inform us that they'd been notified the day before that Mrs. Kane had already obtained a lawyer in Sumter, South Carolina, pursuing charges, and that they notified the funeral home that if they released his remains to us, they were going to take legal action against them. So, Your Honor, in the 30 years that I've been married to this lovely woman, that was absolutely the hardest thing that I have ever had to do, was to leave there. And there were tears in everybody's eyes that day, that we could not leave there with his remains.
So tell me exactly what you are suing her for.
There was a loan that the defendant had with my wife's parents, a $2,500 loan that they had gotten from my wife's parents in November of 1997. Which they were making regular and reoccurring monthly payments. And I have a detailed log of that my wife's mother kept. It's in her handwriting. It's not an agreement, but it's a very detailed ledger log that she recorded every payment she received from the defendant.
Well, the defendant says that she and her husband were in fact making payments on this loan until after your father-in-law died. She says that your mother-in-law then said to her, you don't have to bother to make any more payments on this loan. Is that what your defense is?
I understand that, Your Honor. I had a conversation with Mrs. Kane, my wife's mother, Sarah Kane, in July of 1999. We were helping supplement her income also, and we had a discussion about this, and she was depending on that money to live on. She was on a very fixed income, and I told her then that she needed to notify the defendant and tell her to keep on making those payments.
Is there any evidence that after July she resumed making the payments?
No, there is not. The logbook goes up to July.
So then, what you're saying is there was, in fact, in all probability, a conversation with her about not making the payments because you told her that she should resume making the payments because she couldn't continue to subsidize her.
Exactly.
Well, but there is no information that she did, in fact, tell her the loan is not forgiven.
No, there is not, Your Honor.
Well, then,
there is not.
Clearly, from the evidence that you have just presented to me, it is a problem because if the payments stopped on or about the time of your dad's death and did not resume, and you clearly, Mr. Pelletier, had a conversation with your mother-in-law and said to her, well, you can't let her stop making those payments to you.
Right.
That means she must have said to you, I told her she didn't have to make the payments anymore. Because your response was, well, you have to tell her she has to start making the payments again.
Exactly.
But then there's no evidence that she did.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. So then let's not deal with the loan. What else are you suing Ms. Kane for?
After that point in time, after January 12th, Mrs. Kane stopped taking all of our phone calls concerning the arrangements or what was going to happen. So we canceled the service in Florida and never was able to talk to her. On January 26th, I received this letter from Mrs. Kane informing us, and it's here in the letter, that she wanted us to go to South Carolina again, pick up the ashes, bring them to Florida, and have a service. I immediately called the funeral home, and they informed me that no, indeed, that was not the case. The following Monday, I received a call from the defendant's daughter saying that, well, now she's changed her mind again. On or about February 1st, I made another phone call to the defendant. I told her, I said, Diana, it's been a month since you left his remains at the funeral home. We need to do something. We're in grief, and it's a very, very hard time. So finally, I called, and I talked to her, who was the head of the funeral home. I said, I'm sending you a check for $1,485. I want you to send the ashes to Maine. And we had moved the whole service and planned a big service up in Maine on February 5th. We traveled to Maine on the 4th and get to the church, our family church, on the 5th, and all the friends and relatives were there. The ashes were not there, and the defendant was not there. To this day, Your Honor, we still do not know the whereabouts of the ashes or any of it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They had forged my dad's name and draw out all of his money out of his account on the day of his death. And he said to me, call your lawyer and do not press charges on my wife for forging the checks. The day of his death, they did this.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Reggie and Linda Pelletier say their sister-in-law, Diana Kane, owes them for an unpaid loan and for her husband's funeral expenses.
Okay. Tell me, Mr. Pelletier, what money you're suing her for?
We are suing her for the $1,485 that we paid to the funeral home.
Well, did she agree, Mr. Pelletier, that you could make the arrangements to have the ashes sent to Maine?
Oh, absolutely. I talked to her on the phone, her and her daughter, and on February 1st, I spoke to both her and her daughter. Said, I'm sending a check, Federal Express, to the funeral home. The ashes are going to be shipped out immediately. We posted the obituary in the paper and informed her.
Okay, no, but did she say okay? Or did
Yes,
you
she
just
did.
tell her?
No, she said okay. That was fine. She wanted us. I said, we need to have a service, and we shipped the ashes to Maine, and she agreed to that.
Did you agree to that? Hmm?
No, I did not.
What, you want to talk?
Yes.
Who are you?
I'm her daughter. I'm Melissa Ordway, and I've been with my mom, and I've been doing the phone calls with Reggie. I had a phone conversation, I believe it was on February 5th, I believe, pertaining to the ashes. We agreed, I remember my mom writing that letter for us to go to, I believe, Florida and spread the ashes in the ocean. Only did we receive that they had forged my dad's name and draw out all of his money out of his account on the day of his death. And only he said to me, he said, I will send the check, Federal Express, right now, if you call your lawyer and do not press charges on my wife for forging the checks. That was what he said to me. It was not an agreement. That's how it went.
Okay. Let's deal with these checks because this is part of a counterclaim. Did you ever draw money out of your brother's account?
Yes, I did.
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Okay. When was that?
That was on February 6th, Your Honor.
There was January 5th and there was January 10th. And we have the checks here.
Can I see the checks?
You read the checks, Mom.
Your Honor, we have the deposit slips where we had deposited the money in his account.
I'm going to take a look at everything, sir.
The day of his death, they did this.
And I have the checking account on back. They forged my husband's name, and they put their money in their checking account.
See, my mom has been going through a lot. She's a lot. So I've been standing by her through all this. Now, also is, during the phone conversations, there was a matter of 25 phone. I've never spoken to Linda. I've never met her before, and it's nice meeting you. Reggie, I had spoken to Reggie because since they had drawn this money out of my dad's account, I figured that was enough to pay for the funeral, for the coroner and for the cremation. They refused. They refused to send them to have that money. That was their money.
So tell me, where did this money come from where do you claim it came from his account?
He got, sorry.
There was $920, Your Honor, that was acquired from the estate account of Sarah Kane for the month of November and December. The balance of that was $800 that was in his account. The $2,588, as you can see, we deposited in his account.
From where?
That was the proceeds from a life insurance policy, of which he was entitled to 1/4 of that.
So that's his 1/4.
No, his 1/4 of the $2,588.
So why did you deposit the whole thing in his account for?
We deposited the whole thing in his account so we could disperse it out of his account. I mean, that's the way his mother wanted it.
Well, that makes it a little too complicated, sir. But even if you deposited that money in his account, this becomes his money. You can't, by law, write a check and sign his name. You understand that?
I understand that, ma'am.
Okay, so you can't do that. And if there was money put into the account, $800 was his?
That's correct.
Was his?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And according to you, 25% of $2,500
Exactly.
would have been his.
Exactly, Your Honor.
Right? Which more than covers this $1,485.
That is correct.
Right? So that would at least make this a wash with regard to money.
Correct.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Is there any way I could show you some pictures of their home with my dad?
No.
No?
For what?
To see a picture of Fred.
No, I don't have to see Fred.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Reggie and Linda Pelletier say their sister-in-law, Diana Kane, owes them for an unpaid loan and for her husband's funeral expenses.
Now, Ms. Kane, you have a counterclaim for these checks and for a lot of mental anguish.
Yes.
So I have a few questions for you. How long had it been since you hadn't lived with your husband?
I lived with my husband for 2.5 years. But I was going to Florida to see my husband.
When were you married?
June 21st, 1996.
So you weren't married very long.
But we've been 4 years this month.
But you didn't live together for 2 years.
Due to his parents being...
Just a second. You didn't live together for 2 years. He lived with his parents.
Right.
You were separated from him for a while. He had a mental breakdown?
He had a breakdown back in January 27, 1997. He was home with me.
And after that, he went and lived with his parents for a while.
And he came back home.
What?
Okay. He had gone to Florida because Nana and Papa were sick.
He stayed there.
Right, he stayed there with
all right.
Nana
He was
and Papa.
separated from your mom.
Right, they lived in different residences, yes.
That's what separated means. He was separated from your mother.
Right.
Is there currently a lawsuit against the state in South Carolina that was filed by you or your mother on behalf of your father's estate with regard to him committing suicide while in the jail?
Yes, we...
okay. I know that.
Can I elaborate a little bit more?
No, you don't have to elaborate. I could have told you that. You hired a lawyer, and the lawyer said if you commit suicide while you're in jail, that means the county is negligent, and that means that you have a good lawsuit.
Right.
And you hired a lawyer for that.
That's right.
Okay. What's the status of that case?
We're not too sure of it right now.
Okay. Can I finish Reggie's case, please?
No, not necessary. They're not getting any money because these
Yours.
checks covered that money.
Is there any way I could show you some pictures of their home with my dad?
No.
No? I'm just saying.
For what?
To see a picture of Fred.
No, I don't have to see Fred.
Okay.
Pay attention.
Okay.
This is all about money.
It shouldn't be.
It is all about money.
Okay.
That's what it's about. That's why you hired a lawyer.
Right.
To sue, right?
Right.
Where are Fred's ashes? That's what I want to know.
I bought an urn.
What?
I bought an urn for my husband.
Where are they now?
They're at home right now with me.
Yes. Yeah.
Miss Pelletier, I'm going to just try to make you feel a little bit better, if I can. I got this case. I got it. Did your brother have any children?
No,
Do you know if he had a will?
No, he did not.
He died intestate, Your Honor, no will.
If he died intestate, you understand, even if he was married to this lady for an hour, she has the right to make the funeral arrangements, she has the right to take the ashes or the body, she has the right to do all of that, even though he was your brother for a lot longer than an hour. Be nice if you could see the ashes, they're really not important.
I know I put my mom and dad in the same bay, and that's where he would have wanted to go.
Okay. But you can't make that judgment because that's not what the law says. The law says you cannot make that judgment. The law says that the person who is the next of kin, and in this case, even if they were separated, she's the next of kin. And she's permitted to make those... Stop playing with the papers over there.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Now, how long did you know Fred?
I knew Fred since 1995.
So for a very, very short period of time, you knew Fred as an adult. He didn't raise you. He didn't raise you. You met him in 1995. According to your mother, in 1997, which is less than 2 years, he had a nervous breakdown.
Right.
So don't tell me about the love that you had. All right? That's her brother.
That's right.
If anyone should be involved in making the arrangements and making sure that his last wishes would have been fulfilled, your mother should have consulted them and done that. She didn't. Everybody got very excited and very involved about hiring a lawyer and suing the county where he committed suicide. His memories and his soul are most important.
That's right.
You have that. And there is nothing that any court is going to do to make you feel better about that. You know, your husband is very articulate. He told the story very well. This was the wrong thing to do. I understand how it happened. I would assume that nothing is going to come of it. It should not. But you never can tell when people are interested in money. You never can tell what they're going to do.
That's correct.
Don't worry, she's not going to jail. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
As Judge Judy had mentioned, the defendant had turned it into a money situation 3 days after my wife's brother had died. She had retained a lawyer.
Don't fight over money.
It was never about the money. We never wanted to get money out of this.
Come together as a family.
Come together as a family.
It's been very difficult because we've not been able to go through the grieving process and not knowing the whereabouts of his passions.
We're all going through the grieving process and put Fred to rest. Let him rest in peace.
I would like to see my brother's ashes put with my mother and father down in Florida. That's all I ask, to be with his parents. And she knows that. That's all.
Fred was an excellent man.
23-year-old student Denise Eccles is suing her former best friend, 23-year-old office manager Victoria Oakley, for her share of a trip to Jamaica.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 143 on the calendar in the matter of Eccles versus Oakley.
Thanks, Bert.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
You gals were best friends for a long time, according to what I've read in your paper, since you were practically children. And, Miss Eccles, there came a time when you wanted to go on vacation. You wanted to go together. You didn't have any money at the time. You put the entire vacation on your credit card. You claimed with the understanding that the defendant would reimburse you. You went on the vacation. She didn't pay.
Right.
Okay. When was this vacation planned?
Around April of last year, maybe a month before.
And where were you going?
To Jamaica, the West Indies.
For a week?
Which she suggested to go.
And how did it come about that you decided to go?
Well, we had a little breakup at the time. You know, me and her usually break up every 6 months or so. And I don't know, we were driving, we obviously made up driving on Queens Boulevard. She said, let's go to Card and Travel, charge a trip, come on, you're starting an NYU, I'm going to work, blah, blah, blah. I said, all right, no problem. Put it on my credit card because I know you're not working, not a problem. And went right in, she gave me $50 towards the trip. I charged $2,300, she gave me $50, and agreed to pay me back, verbally.
Tell me about the conversation with regard to reimbursing you, if there was one. And if there was one,
it was pretty much no problem, Vic. You know, anytime you get your job, I know you're going to get your job at Bloomingdale. She was applying for it. I knew she'd get it. She gets everything she wants. And I said, no problem. When you get your job, you pay me back. I didn't bring anything up about interest.
Okay, just a second. So you said to her, when you get your job, you'll pay me back. What did she say to you, if you remember?
A nod, a yes, okay, sure, no problem, everything. That's how we talk. We were best friends. I knew she would pay me back. I bought her clothes, she paid me back. I lent her money for jackets, she'd pay me back.
Okay.
Anytime I lent her money, she paid me back.
We're not talking about clothes and jackets
All right.
here. Now, Miss Eccles, we're talking about
The
this
trip.
vacation trip. According to you, there did come a time when she did give you some money towards the trip. Is that right?
$250.
When?
4/9, 6/20, 7/14, and 9/19. The year 1999.
Let me see.
This is all. I kept it on a little piece of paper.
No.
There's 4 times she paid me $50 here, $50 there, $100 here, and $100 there.
The reason I put the $50 down was because I was the one that went to the travel agent and booked it, and they needed $50 down.
We were the ones that went.
Just a
We
second.
went to the travel agent.
We didn't go
Just
together.
a second. In September, did you give her $100?
Yeah.
You did?
I did. Not for that.
Not for that?
No, I gave it to her because she needed money. That's the friendship
Here
we had.
go. Sorry.
Just a second. In July, did you give her $100?
I don't remember the date, but yes, I did give her another $100.
Okay. So let's hear your version of these events.
Okay.
Please.
During that time, Denise and I were going through graduating college and trying to move forward. We were a little stressed out. I said, I need a vacation. She did. She was my travel buddy. We went everywhere together. We were best friends. I'd give her money if she needed it. She'd give it to me. She did a lot for me. She was there for me when I needed somebody. And she turned around and said, Vic, why don't we book the trip? Let's just do it. I said, I don't have the money for that. And she said, well, I have my loans coming in from school. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. At that time, I didn't even know about Bloomingdale's. So as far as me getting my job, I didn't start Bloomingdale's until August. So that has nothing to do with it. So she said, why don't you go? She couldn't come with me at the time. She said, go to the travel agent and get the information. I put the $50 down because I was the only one there. And then she went back and paid the balance at a separate time. We weren't together. I never agreed to pay her back the money.
What? Shh. No.
What? What? I'm sorry.
Don't say what again.
I'm sorry.
Quiet.
What? I'm sorry. I really am.
It was your suggestion to go away on the vacation, according to you.
It was
That's what you
my
just
suggestion.
said. So it was your suggestion. Why don't we go away on vacation?
I said I needed a vacation.
Well, you said you needed a vacation. Neither one of you had a lot of money.
No. I had credit, though.
Sorry?
She had credit. I didn't.
Neither one of you had a lot of money, right?
Right. That.
And you were good friends.
Yeah.
And she was going to college.
Graduate school.
Graduate school.
Yes. September.
And you were really good friends.
Yeah, we had plans to move out together that August.
You were really good friends. So I'm sure you were well aware of the fact that graduate school was very important to her.
Oh, absolutely.
And that school loans usually don't cover all the expenses from school, right?
Right.
Usually people have to supplement those loans with getting a part-time job and other things, especially graduate school loans, right?
Right.
So that if she were to take the full $2,300 for the trip, charging your trip as well as hers, and pay for that from her graduate school loans, which she had not gotten yet.
Correct.
That would have not been a smart thing for her to do as a person who was serious about school. Right? She might have been short in her tuition.
Correct.
Right? And you were a very good friend.
Correct.
So you wouldn't want her to be short on
Not
her
at all.
tuition.
Nope.
And that was the only money she had. Right?
Yep.
So as a very good friend, as you said, you were going to move in together, I cannot imagine you expecting her to not have enough money to pay for her tuition in order to take you on a trip.
I wasn't expecting her to take me on a trip. She offered it because we needed
I
it.
just said, you're the friend.
I am.
And I cannot imagine a really good friend for over a decade allowing their best buddy to risk not having enough tuition because they took you on a trip to Jamaica. What I can imagine,
May I?
Miss Oakley, is the best friend saying, listen, between now and the time you need the money for tuition, I will have started my job and I'll be able to start paying you.
Which is why I gave her the money.
Which is why you gave her the $200. Well, that's
she needed
that.
it.
Just a second.
Not to pay back
There
the trip
you
because
go.
she needed it.
You just said, which is why then I
Because
gave
she
her
needed
back
it.
the money.
Because she needed it.
No, that's not
She
why.
wasn't working. She needed
Hey.
the money.
That wasn't why.
Miss Eccles,
Okay.
does it look as if you're having a hard time before me?
No, but there's so much more to this than you can imagine.
I'm not interested in
I know,
so much
I
more.
know, I know, but I just want to tell her.
I mean, I read the papers that there was some hurt because one of your grandmothers died.
That'd be me.
Brain
I didn't even get a
cancer.
phone call.
You were hurt because you didn't get a phone call from her. When did your grandmother pass away?
Last month.
Last month, so you were angry. Well,
No,
last
I'm not
month has
angry.
nothing to do with not paying back this money before that.
I'm not angry.
So you did give her $250 because you thought she needed the money.
Because I knew she needed the money. Because her loans fell through, school wasn't working out, and she wasn't working.
Oh, well, this may be even an easier case to decide than calling you a bit of a fibber, Miss Oakley. You...
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What she told me was, don't worry about it. I have the loans coming. I'll have money. That's what she said to me.
Her loans fell through.
They did.
There, make it easy. I don't have to call you a total fibber.
And later today,
Hey, attention, Mr. Williams. Who's smarter, do you think, you or me?
Probably you. You're older than me.
Even when I was your age.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Denise Eccles says former friend Victoria Oakley never paid her part of their trip to Jamaica.
Miss Oakley, you do agree, and I've read in your answer, that the agreement that you say she offered to pay for your part of the trip out of the school loans that she was going to get.
She didn't say that she was paying for it out of her loans, but what she told me was, don't worry about it. I have the loans coming. I'll have money. That's what she said to me.
Okay. I'll have the loans coming, so I will have enough money to pay. I will have the loans, therefore I will have the money to pay for your trip. You accepted this trip, understanding that your portion of the trip was to be paid, according to you, and I don't believe you, but according to you, it was to be paid from the loans that she was going to get. That was your understanding?
That's my understanding.
Her loans fell through?
They did.
Then you got to pay. There, make it easy. I don't have to call you a total fibber. There was a contingency on her paying for your half of the trip, and the contingency of her paying for your half of the trip was that she got loans. Her loans fell through. Therefore, you have to pay. Now, that's one scenario. And the first scenario, which I believe better, was that as soon as you got your job, you would start reimbursing her. You ultimately got your job in Bloomingdale's, and you were supposed to start to pay her when you started to work. All right, what does she owe you for half the trip? $950?
And interest?
You're suing her for $950.
Okay, $950.
That's what you're suing her for.
Mm-hmm.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $950.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't have any kind of a grudge against her, and I hope that maybe one day we can be friends. She was wrong, I was right, that's it. The weather was terrible, it was just a terrible trip. Beautiful trip. Got the pictures to prove.
And now the next case.
All parties on Gallo versus McDonald. Step forward, please.
44-year-old gas station attendant David Gallo is suing his former longtime girlfriend, 32-year-old financial consultant Jeanette McDonald, for half the value of the furniture they bought while living together. Jeanette is countersuing for harassment.
You and the defendant were in a relationship, according to your papers, for 13 years. And you have a child together, a girl.
Correct.
How old is your daughter?
She's 10.
According to your complaint, Mr. Gallo, when you separated, your arrangement was that the defendant could keep all of the household furnishings.
That's correct, ma'am.
And in exchange, you would keep 3 cars.
Yes, ma'am.
Sometime after you separated, you loaned her some money.
Yes, ma'am.
And when she didn't pay you back, you filed a small claims case against her.
No, ma'am. She wrote me a post-dated check on it that bounced twice.
Whatever. You filed a small claims case
Yes,
against her. And she filed a countersuit for half the vehicles.
Yes, ma'am.
Then it gets a little more complicated. On the day that that trial was set, according to you, your brother became ill?
Well, my brother was in intensive care from a head wound. He died the day before court.
Okay. And you called her and you agreed to postpone the case.
Yes, ma'am.
But she went to court anyway and got a default judgment against you for $3,500.
Yes, ma'am.
So that you now want half the cost of the furniture, which you estimated $10,000, so you want $5,000 because she breached the agreement.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss McDonald, you have a counterclaim because you say that since the separation, Mr. Gallo has filed numerous lawsuits against you, causing you all kinds of harassment and stress. When did you separate?
We separated in December of 1996.
And at that time, he took the cars.
Your Honor, the story that I just heard you say is absolutely the first time I've ever heard that in my life. There was no agreement for cars versus furniture. This is the first time I'm hearing that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He was arrested for willful cruelty to a child when he tried to kill my son. He stepped on his throat.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. David Gallo says ex-girlfriend Jeanette McDonald owes him for half the value of their shared furniture. Jeanette says this is David's third frivolous lawsuit.
Did he, in fact, take cars at the time you separated?
There were cars left, yes.
And you took the furniture?
Some furniture, yes.
Did there come a time when he gave you some money after 1996?
Not that I recall.
But he did file a small claims case against you.
Yes.
You did then file a counterclaim having to do with the cars.
Yes.
That were left 3 years before.
Yes.
That doesn't sound right to me, Miss McDonald. That sounds like to me, if he's going to give it to me, I'm going to give it to him.
When I left him, he started filing suits against me. And
When was the first lawsuit that he filed against you?
In '99. However, prior to that, he was arrested for willful cruelty to a child when he tried to kill my son. He stepped on his throat.
That was in 1996, according to you.
Yes. And that's
Miss
when I left.
McDonald, pay careful attention to me, madam. The first lawsuit that he filed against you was this lawsuit for $800.
Yes.
And you chose to retaliate by filing a counterclaim for $3,500 for property that, even if you had part interest in, you had really abandoned over 3 years. I find that suspect, Miss McDonald. Now, did you or did you not have a conversation with Mr. Gallo about his brother being ill and then dying?
No, I did not.
You mean there was never any understanding between the two of you that he was not going to appear on the adjourned date?
No, he called me the day before our court hearing, and he said, yeah, I'm having personal problems, so I'm not going to make it up there. And I said, well, what do you mean? Well, I continued it, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I called the court, and I said, can he just continue the day before? And they said, no, only the judge can grant the continuance.
Had he made a request for a continuance?
Evidently, he had faxed the court a letter saying that something, but I found out about that later.
So he did, in fact, call you and tell you that he was moving for a continuance?
Yes.
Because he had personal problems?
Yes.
Did his brother, in fact, die?
I don't know.
Well, you know his brother. I mean,
No,
you were
I
together
don't.
for 13 years.
I never met him.
She has met my brother, Your Honor.
In any event, she went there and she got a judgment against you for $3,500, which I believe
Yes, sir.
which I believe is bogus. The only thing that I can do with regard to that case, Mr. Gallo, is to make you whole, sir. Making you whole would give you a judgment for $3,500. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now let's get to your counterclaim, Ms. McDonald. So you say he has filed numerous cases against you. I'd like to see them, please.
The second one he filed is for $2,450, half of household furnishings at time of separation. That was dismissed because he filed it in the wrong venue, and so no action was taken after that.
Okay, so that's the second one. That was after you got the judgment against him for $3,500.
Correct.
Okay, and what's the next one?
Is this one for $5,000 for, again, half of the household items after separation with a different separation date.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Let me tell you what I find, Ms. McDonald. That $3,500 counterclaim that you filed was just to get even, and that was the first lawsuit that he filed against you in small claims court. The first, according to you.
Lawsuit, yes, but the harassment has been vandalism to my house. My propane lines have been cut. He put nails in the driveway. I have pictures of nails thrown in my driveway. He does everything he can to harass and make my life miserable.
The one lawsuit in small claims court was about the $800. And if he hadn't lost that, my sense was that he wouldn't file the rest of them over the furniture. Right. In any event, on your lawsuit, sir, I am awarding you $3,500. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And on your counterclaim, I'm dismissing it. That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Well, I think they turned out pretty good. The whole thing's been a real go for me.
I'm very disappointed. He's a manipulative con man, and he just conned her. He's been doing it to me for 13 years, and now he just did it in there.
34-year-old property manager Amy Mussolino is suing ex-boyfriend, 39-year-old health service manager Joseph Vietz, for his share of their daughter's orthodontist and therapy bills.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 147 on the calendar in the matter of Mussolino versus Vietz. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Miss Mussolino, you and the defendant had a relationship back in the early 1990s, and that relationship produced a child, Kelly, who is now 8 years old, according to your complaint. You state that the defendant is under a court order to pay 1/2 of any unreimbursed medical bills for the child, and that he has not done so, especially with regard to the child's therapy.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Viets, your defense is that you're not consulted, that you feel as if the child is over-medicated, but primarily your complaint is that nobody asks you anything, just asks you to write a check.
That's a lot of it.
Well, you'll tell me what the rest is in a minute. Can I see a copy of the court order, please?
Yes, ma'am. These are actually 2 court orders.
Thank you. Okay. First of all, I assume, Mr. Viets, that you petitioned the court for a transfer of custody to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And the resulting order indicates that there would be no transfer of custody to you, sir, but the court did, in fact, grant you extended visitation with the child.
Correct.
And that the court also found that there was sufficient evidence to find that you had interfered with Mr. Viets' visitation with the child and issued you a warning.
Yes, ma'am.
The court also, in that order, clearly states that the therapist who had been treating the child was to continue as her therapist, and that the two of you were to cooperate with that therapy. So what's the problem, Mr. Viets? Have you, in fact, paid the unreimbursed bills for therapy for the child?
No, ma'am, I have not.
So the onus now is upon you to convince me why this order should not, and I'm not acting as an appellate court, but unless there is something outrageous.
There is.
Well, then, I'll hear you.
Okay, thank you. Well, first, Your Honor, I need to make clear to you that I was not made aware of any outstanding bills whatsoever until I received a summons regarding those bills on May 16th, at which time I requested a bill of particulars. First off, I'm disputing $600 of orthodontist bills in the bill of particulars. Ms. Mussolino took it upon herself to select an orthodontist not covered by my good insurance. There are several available in our area. Instead of commuting 60 or 70 miles away to Richmond to one that's not covered by my insurance, she could have gone to Hampton, Newport News.
Okay. Is anything that you're suing for here about orthodontic bills? Or
Yes,
is it all
yes.
about therapy bills?
It's I have a listing.
Let me see
if
it.
you would like it.
I thought it was all therapy bills. That's what she
No,
talks
ma'am.
about, therapy bills. Okay. What's the Medical College of Virginia?
That is for orthodontists.
What did she start orthodontia for at her age?
She actually has a problem with her tongue. She has a tongue thrust problem.
She's a tongue thruster.
Right. And she not only may need braces, but she may need an appliance, which is called a tongue crib. They've actually are deciding that currently.
Why did you select the Medical College of Virginia for her treatment?
Specifically because the total price was $1,800. And the orthodontist who is covered under her insurance, which her father does provide, is $3,200.
But the $3,200 would or would not have been covered under his insurance?
No, that would be the portion which we would have to pay.
Okay. So if your complaint is, sir, that she chose somebody that wasn't covered by your insurance, that's a reasonable explanation, that she went to the Medical College of Virginia, listen to me, because it would ultimately be cheaper for both of you.
Do I have some proof of that, or is that just hearsay? If Ms. Mussolino would communicate with me so we could work things out for the betterment of our child and the bills that we have to split, perhaps we could make some progress here.
I believe her, because it would not be in her best interest, because she has to pay 50% too, to choose somebody that was more expensive rather than less expensive, right? Doesn't make sense.
Unless you have valuable assets such as 8 years experience and friendship with a practicing orthodontist that may give you a break on the side, Your Honor.
Don't give me a break on, listen
if
to
given
me.
the opportunity.
Listen, don't give me a break on the side. Everybody saved money. If all this orthodontia is going to cost us, according to her, $900 ultimately, because the total price is $1,800, trust me, you're getting away with murder. Let's hear the rest of your complaint.
All right, Your Honor. There's also on her list of bill of particulars, you'll see a $300 bill. It was on 5/5/99. That was for the doctor to be a witness on Amy's behalf in court back in '99.
Now, is that the Psychiatric Services of Virginia? Pay attention to me. You bill him $1,155.
Yes.
Does that include $300 for a court appearance that the doctor made to testify on your behalf?
Yes, it was a court appearance. No, it was not on my behalf. She was coming as our daughter's therapist to speak about our daughter.
That's not included in the judge's order. He's absolutely correct. So I'm eliminating $300. So that brings us down to $902. What else, sir?
Your Honor, on that same sheet of paper highlighted in pink at the top and the bottom of the page, you'll see 2 bills for $50, I believe, each for family psychotherapy. The others listed I did not highlight as individual psychotherapy for my daughter, and I'm not disputing that. I'm the one that originally sought out help for my child once I learned of the trauma she had experienced.
Actually, what he's discussing, his wife took her to in July of '99. He has visitation for the entire month of July. So she did, I believe, go in and participate with therapy.
That's not correct.
Well, one of them is in July of 1999. According to the order, you have visitation all of July. Did you take the child for therapy?
When she was staying with us in July, I did have to take her one time.
You did take her? And did you speak to the therapist?
I did when they were done.
She charged you?
For talking to her after she
Yes.
saw the patient.
No.
I didn't know any idea that she did. This is the first time.
Well, she did. But that, Mr. Vietz, is covered by the order because it says that the petitioner and respondent, the two of you, are to continue to cooperate fully.
If this is family psychotherapy, Your Honor, the last time I checked, I am the father of this child. I'm family.
You should have taken her.
I'm not
Why-
allowed to. There's
No,
no,
no, no,
communication. She will...
Listen to me.
Yes.
Child was with you during July of 1999. Instead of you taking the child to the therapist, you had your wife take the child to the therapist. You should have taken the child to the therapist if you wanted to be involved.
The original appointment that I was going to take her to was rescheduled. I was not available for the next
That's not
one.
her fault.
I would
do,
like
you, do you understand what I'm saying? If something else was more important or something else more pressing, you permitted your wife to take her. If it was rescheduled and if it was not a good day for you, you should have told the doctor, I'm not available on that day and I would really like to come in to see you. Instead, you let your wife take her. Forget it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
One of the things that he is complaining about is that he's not consulted. If he doesn't avail himself of picking up the telephone and calling, that's his problem.
And later today,
He harassed me constantly. He told me that he was going to burn the house down with me and my children in it.
That is such a lie.
It is not, Richard.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Amy Mussolino says ex-boyfriend Joseph Vietz owes her for his share of their daughter's medical bills. Joseph says Amy won't consult him regarding their daughter.
Okay, what's next?
Well, Your Honor, actually, this whole case...
Just a minute, I want to know if that's it with regard to money.
I'm disputing the entire thing.
Well, you can't dispute the entire thing. The entire thing is covered by a 1999 order, Mr. Vietz.
That is supposed to fully comply, fully involve both of us, which she will not do. The order says fully.
Just a second. When was the last time you personally contacted Dr.
The last time I contacted her was the time that she told me she can give me no information whatsoever concerning my child because I'm the non-custodial parent, and that I was wasting my time, is what she had told me.
Was that before or after she appeared in court?
Same time, a day or two around the same time.
And you had a lawyer?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Then if you had a lawyer, sir, your lawyer was obligated. This is what you wanted. You wanted to have total access to the child's medical, dental, and school records. That's something that is dealt with all the time in court. Either your lawyer raised that issue before the court, and the court said no, which is bizarre, or your lawyer didn't raise the issue, in which case he or she was remiss in not raising that issue, and you still have an opportunity to go back and have that issue resolved.
And I will.
And you can. So, Ms. Mussolino.
Yes.
One of the things that he is complaining about is that he's not consulted. Now, that may not be an easy thing to do because he may be resistant when you try to consult with him. But if what he is requesting is that he have access to the child's school records and medical and dental records and open communication with the child's therapist, that's a very easy thing for you to resolve even without going back to court. And then, if he doesn't avail himself of picking up the telephone and calling, that's his problem.
He's never discussed it with me.
Well,
He
now we're
has an
discussing
order.
it. Listen,
It's
I'm trying
fine
to
with
resolve
me.
this issue. $902 is what he owes. What I'm asking you is, are you prepared to enter into a stipulation with Mr. Vietz that permits him the same access that you have to all of the child's records?
That's fine with me.
Fine. That's what she says.
Thank
That's fine. So sit down, do it today, right outside. It's a very simple order.
That's wonderful.
Is that okay?
That's fine.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $902.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Parties are excused. Step out.
Cool. All this woman did was birth my child and bill me for everything.
This is the first time in 6 years which I've sought any money for. Next time.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Brewer versus O'Reilly. Step forward, please.
Sales manager Bill Brewer is suing his ex-mother-in-law, retired postal worker Val O'Reilly, for an unpaid loan to visit her family. Val says the money was a gift so she could pay for her mother's funeral.
Mr. Brewer, how long were you married to the defendant's daughter?
Approximately 2 years, Your Honor.
Is this your former wife?
Yes, it is.
Do you have children together?
No, we did not.
And how long did you know her before you married her?
Approximately 2 years.
So you've known Miss O'Reilly for 4 years, or at the time of the divorce.
Yes.
And you claim a loan to her, a recent loan, in the amount of $1,500. Is that right?
Back in April of 2001, yes.
In what year were you divorced from her daughter?
We split up in March of 2000.
And you maintained a reasonable relationship with the defendant?
Yes. After we split up, we probably talked at least maybe once, twice a month. You know, we'd just chat to see how things were going. She cared about what was going on, and she honestly didn't like what her daughter was doing to me. So, yeah, I thought we had a civil friendship, and we chatted and emailed and stuff like that, yes.
Did you give her a check for this loan?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have the check?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
If I can add also, Your Honor, 2 weeks before I had loaned her the money, the defendant's daughter had called me and asked if I wanted to buy the ring back. And
Buy what ring back?
the wedding ring. Because when we split up, I asked for it back anyways, and of course that wasn't the right thing to do.
Was your wife at that time living with her mother?
No, she wasn't.
Now tell me about this loan in April of 2001. What was it for?
Well, the defendant would like to go to Florida to see her sister, I think yearly. So she called me, said, Bill, if at all possible, she wasn't threatening me, if at all possible, do you have some money I can borrow? I need to put some money down for my ticket and the hotel room and whatnot. At the time, I was, still trying to be a decent guy, had a little extra money in the bank, and I said, sure, no problem. She agreed to pay me back in August. I said, okay, I could do that for you, Val, because I thought we had somewhat of a decent relationship still.
And she never paid you back?
No, ma'am, no.
Okay. Now, Miss O'Reilly, in what month did your mother die?
My mother died in April of 2001, Your Honor.
When in April?
The 29th of April.
Okay. Now I'd like to hear what your defense is, because I find that interesting.
My mother was 93 years old, and she was in a nursing home, and she was dying. The first part of April, they didn't think that she would live very much longer.
She died April 29th, according to you.
Right, that's when she died, but she was dying.
She was sick.
Hospice was called in, and she wanted to, since she and Bill Brewer were friends and they were on a good rapport together, she liked Bill. We all did at one time. She asked hospice to call him and tell him goodbye for her, that she was dying. They didn't expect her to live.
Did that happen?
No, ma'am. They never called.
Just a second. Would you get to the $1,500, please?
Okay. They called him and told him she was dying. He called back and said he was sorry that she was, going to die.
Would you get to the...
I told him that she had bought her lot years ago, that her cremation was paid for, because he asked me how she was going to be buried. And I said she was going to be cremated. And I couldn't believe that, because even when she owned the lot, that it would cost $500 to open the grave to put her ashes in the grave. That amazed me. Then it would cost $200 more for an urn. It had to be bronze. I couldn't put her ashes in the box that came in from the crematorium. And the marker was $800. And I said that Graham, that's what we called her, Graham would just have to wait a while before I could do this. And he said, don't worry about it. He said, I'm making good money now, And he said, let this be my gift to you. It was a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Because he thought so much of my mother.
And you say that this conversation took place while your mother was still living?
She was dying, yes.
While she was still living,
Yes.
you had this conversation with him?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bill Brewer says ex-mother-in-law Val O'Reilly owes for a loan to visit her family. Val says the money was a gift.
All right. Now, what I find interesting about your position, Miss O'Reilly, is I want you to look at this document. Tell me if this is your signature. Is that your signature?
Yes, it is my signature.
Good. Can I see the document back, please? That is your sworn answer to his complaint. And I'm going to read to you what you wrote. In April of 2001, my 93-year-old mother passed away. The plaintiff had been very fond of my mother and called to give me his condolences shortly after she passed away. I told him that she would be cremated and mentioned I couldn't believe the cost of the urns, services, and burial. He was sympathetic and said he would give me the $1,500 towards the burial as a gift because he cared so much about my mother and wanted to do this for me. That's what you swore to. Do you understand that that's what you swore to?
Yes, Your Honor. May I say something, please?
No. That's what you swore to. And your mother died the 29th of April. This check was written to you on the 20th of April, 9 days before your mother died. You understand?
Yes, I do.
Your answer does not support this.
It was a stressful month. It was full of trauma. She was dying. She had hospice.
This is not a stressful month, madam. We are talking about some 13 or 14 months later. 13 or 14 months later, you wrote, he called to give me his condolences shortly after she passed away. You told me she died on the 29th of April. The check that he wrote to you was on the 20th of April, 9 days before she died.
Right. I had talked to him previously before then, before she died.
That's what you just told me now. That's not what you swore to in your answer. He has no responsibility to pay for your mother's burial.
No,
what
he
I
didn't.
want to
He
know is
offered it
what
as
changed
a
your
gift.
mind between the time that he gave you this $1,500 and the time that you were supposed to pay him back. Did something happen with your daughter? Were they separated and going through a divorce? Is there something negative that happened during that 6-month period? And I will ask you, Mr. Brewer, to tell me.
Well, I didn't think there was anything out of the ordinary. Yeah, we were separated. We were going through a divorce.
When were you ultimately divorced?
It wasn't until, I'd say, August of 2001. Yeah, right about the time that she was going to pay me back.
Did you both have lawyers in the divorce?
It was a simple divorce, so we just...
So there was no issue of property, no issue of money?
No children, no property, no.
Is that right? You can
That-
stand up.
I'd like to shed a little light on this divorce situation and his behavior. It was anything but civil. The man professed his love for me one day and tried to choke me to death the next. He was very violent. He's a very unpredictable, erratic, temperamental person.
Your Honor, does this have any bearing in the...
Just a second.
I'm just stating the facts.
Your mother filed an answer that is totally inconsistent with the facts in this case. Her answer says he gave her this money after your grandmother died when he called to offer his condolences and she said she was short for the burial. The check was written 9 days before your grandmother died, which is totally inconsistent with her testimony. As far as I'm concerned, he has absolutely no responsibility to pay for your grandmother's funeral.
Correct,
The
but
dates
he
are,
offered
the
it.
dates are off, and if you were going through an acrimonious time with him, and if you say he is abusive, controlling, and threatening, I would question why you would permit, because you're an adult, you're over 21, clearly, why you would permit this violent, abusive man to whittle into your family business by paying for your grandmother's funeral.
I urged her not to take the money.
Good, then you should have said, I'll give you the money.
I urged her, but she had no idea the extent of his behavior.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500, that's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Judge Steve, you may step out.
Wonderful guy. We all were fooled.
I called, I had left messages.
He's caused a lot of pain for our family.
I sent letters, she returned them.
I truly cannot believe that he would stoop this low.
Didn't respond to me, so I thought this was the only choice.
He traumatized her for months and months before she had him leave the house.
We had our moment.
And I didn't know about it until after the divorce. She didn't want me to worry.
Half the things that I did, yeah, I'll take blame for it, but you know what? She had her moments too.
He tried to choke me to death. He was vindictive, and he's trying to get at us again.
Not saying I was an angel.
I can't believe that he would go through these lengths.
I did it as a friend.
He's a liar.
If you can't afford to lose it, don't loan it.
Don't get married.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Sims versus Cruz. Step forward, please.
Serviceman Billy Sims is suing the daughter of his late father's girlfriend, 21-year-old Christina Cruz. Billy says Christina stole a cell phone off of his father's dead body.
Mr. Sims, your father passed away in June of this year?
That's correct, Your Honor.
According to your complaints, he passed away. He had a heart attack in his car.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And the defendant was in the car with him, along with her boyfriend?
I'm not exactly sure if she was either in the car or if she was following behind him in another vehicle, but they were traveling together.
How did they know each other, do you know?
The defendant's mother had a relationship with my father.
Is that right? So your mom and his dad
were dating.
When his father had the heart attack, were you in the car with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh. And this is all about a cell phone.
That's correct.
Because it is your claim that the defendant took your dad's cell phone after he had the heart attack and died.
Yes, Your
in
Honor.
their presence
Yes,
in the
Your
car.
Honor.
And Ms. Cruz says that she has the cell phone, but that he gave it to her.
Okay.
June what did your father pass away?
It was June the 18th of this year, Your Honor.
What time?
I have a copy of his death certificate.
May I see it, please?
Sure. The coroner put his time of death at about 2:30 p.m. Of course, the...
Okay. Did there ever come a time when you got property that was on his person at the time that he died?
Yes, Your Honor.
When was that?
The following day, on the 19th, that morning, the county coroner called me and my brother to come and get his personal effects. Now, we had to get his vehicle.
Okay. What personal effects did you pick up?
Okay, I picked up his wallet, his checkbook.
Okay, wallet. Was there anything in the wallet?
His identification and some of those things.
Any cash?
There was no cash in his wallet, Your Honor.
Do you know where your father was going on the 18th of June?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. He was doing, my father was retired. He spent most of his time just doing yard work for people, doing handyman jobs really for little or no pay. And he was assisting the defendant's mother on doing some of this work.
Okay. When was the last time you had spoken to your father from the cell phone?
The morning before his death, probably maybe about an hour or an hour and a half before his actual death.
Did you call him or did he call you?
He called me twice, Your Honor.
From his cell phone. Prior to that, for what period of time had your father had this cell phone?
He's probably had the phone almost 2 years. He's had this cell phone, Your Honor.
And is that the phone that he uses primarily for his communication with you?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, now, Ms. Cruz, it is your claim, your defense, and you say you do have the phone, and you did use the phone, but that it was a gift to you.
Yes, Honor.
Now, I'd like you to tell me your version of the events when Mr. Sims' dad picked you up, because that's what happens. He picked you up along with this person?
Yeah.
Who was this
my
person?
Witness. Oh, that's my boyfriend.
So let me hear. He came and picked you up at your mom's home?
No, he came over my house and picked us up, and we were going to go swimming. But first, we were going to do some stuff for my mama.
Okay. Now tell me about the cell phone.
And he took me and my boyfriend to the side. And
To the side of what?
Of his truck.
Yes.
And said, y'all are like my kids and everything, and I'm going to give you my cell phone. Well, we have a deal. You pay me $50 a month. And we agreed on it. All three of us agreed on it.
Just a second. So you're saying he took you from the side of the truck and said, you're like my kids.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I want you to have my cell phone. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did he have another cell phone?
No, he
just had that one cell phone.
Just that one and the house phone.
Well, but he had the cell
Yeah.
phone. That was his cell phone.
Yeah.
And as long as you knew him, he had only used that cell phone. Is that right?
Yes, Your
Is
Honor.
that right? So on that day, he said to you, you're like my kids, I want you to have the cell phone.
Yes, Your Honor.
Liar! You're a liar.
There was other witnesses
Bald-faced liar. You took his cell phone off his dead body.
No, he
and you
was not
probably also took the cash out of his wallet before the police got there. Not a question in my mind. Why would a man, unless he anticipates his own death, who has used a cell phone for 2 years to communicate with the rest of the world, all of a sudden take you and this person who was sitting over here and say, I want you to have my method of communication? Why in the world would he do that? You're like my kids. If you like my kids, then he goes and buys you a cell phone and said, here's a cell phone.
No, because he got tired of carrying it around and everything.
It was too heavy. It was too, just a minute. Please do me a favor. Put your hand down. I don't have to listen to that baloney anymore. It's baloney. Could I please see the expenses that you are claiming for the cell phone?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did they use it, by the way?
Yes, Your Honor. They used it. Those 3 days, there were approximately about 400 minutes that were used. And I have those.
Well, just a minute. How much was the cost?
The total cost for the cell phone minutes, it was 35 cents a minute. I don't have that itemized. But.
Well, just a minute. Did you ever get a bill from them for this?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, I want to see the bill that you got.
This has the outstanding minutes that he had left over in excess that we had to terminate because it could have been transferred over to his next of kin. That's what the first statement says. That's from the wireless people.
No. I understand what you're saying. Mr. Sims, listen to me. What you're saying is he had sort of credits, that it didn't cost you hundreds and hundreds of dollars because they took the phone, but that you as his beneficiary or next of kin could have used those minutes if you wanted to from his cell phone plan. Is that what your plan is? Get a life. Where's the phone?
We don't have it anymore.
What'd you do with it?
The guy that was staying with him, Billy, his daddy, took it. And it's my brother.
Your Honor, there was no one staying with my father. He lived alone. But we asked her the Friday when we first found out that she was the one that had the phone. When she returned the phone call, she said that we were not going to get the phone back, that she got to the phone before we did, and that he's dead, and she's just as entitled to it as...
Let me tell you something. Some people will be happy, productive, moral people their whole lives, and they will raise, hopefully, happy, productive, moral offspring. And some will not. We're not talking about a lot of money, but we are talking about those people who have the capability of being moral people and those who lack the capability of being moral people. Yes, we're talking about a $40 phone bill, which you're going to get, and let's say your father really had a state-of-the-art telephone. A really good one costs $150, is that right?
Yes,
really
Your Honor,
good one?
it's on the estimate.
$150 plus 40 is $190. You don't get paid for the minutes, right? And I want you to, you have to feel sorry for them. I want you to feel sorry for them. Don't be angry with them. They're never going to be able to get smarter. They're never going to get more morals that anywhere relate to what civilized people do, because anybody they could take property off a dead person, which is what they did, will never change. Because I don't believe that anybody, your father's age, drives a car and rides around with not a dollar in his wallet.
That's correct, Your Honor.
I don't believe that that happens. That doesn't happen. So if you're a death scavenger, you're never going to change. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $190. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We didn't took it. He gave us it.
There are people in this world that are going to act that way, so instead of being angry, pity them, and that's what I do.
I feel sorry, too, because he died on me.
I'm very happy with the judge's decision, and I'm glad that we can finally put this part of my father's life to rest.
Mail courier Merle Stutz is suing his ex-girlfriend, in-home caregiver Leylon Bailey, for the return of a van and the return of jewelry. Leylon says the van is titled in her name.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 118 on the calendar in the matter of Stutz versus Bailey. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
This case is like a mini-series. Mr. Stutz, you and the defendant lived together for a long time, and there are lots of pieces to your claims, because I have a claim, I have a counterclaim. The main part of the case is about a van that you claim is yours. that after you broke up, you had impounded. So now the van is in impound someplace. Is that right, sir?
Yes, it's in storage.
And you want the defendant to give you the title to the van so you could have your van out of storage. The defendant says it's her van, and she wants the van. Then you claim that she has some jewelry that belongs to you. She says she has one piece of jewelry that belongs to you that she's prepared to give back to you. And what is that, madam?
The ring his father had made for him.
Can I see it, Bird, please?
Sure.
So let's take care of the simple things first. Okay. Is this your father's ring, sir?
I can't see that far.
You can't see that far. I can see up close.
Yes, it looks like it.
Now you have it back.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Easy.
Thank you.
Now let's deal with the other easy part of this case. You were engaged to be married,
That's true.
and you gave her an engagement ring.
Yes.
And how much did you pay for this engagement ring?
Approximately $1,300.
You have the receipt?
No, I don't have the receipts. She has all the receipts to them. We had a joint checking account at the time. My mom left me a bunch of money, and I put it into account because I couldn't have a checking account. And so she paid for it, which was my money that was in the account. She paid for it with check. All the money that was put into the account was what my mother had left me. My mom left me approximately like $48,000, and it was all my money that was in that account. She had nothing.
Yes.
I took care of his mother. She was dying of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Yes.
How long did you take care of his mother?
About 6 or 7 months.
Yes, she took care of my mother. My sister made her a deal. Paid her so much money a week, room and board. During the time she was there taking care of my mother, my mom still took care of her family, helped her mother out.
All right.
And
Let me
everything.
just a second. So what you're telling me is she wrote out the check for her own engagement ring.
Yeah, it was my money.
Was it his money that paid for the engagement ring?
Yes, he put the money into the checking account,
All right.
and it was
Fine.
$1,000.
So it's his?
It was $1,000.
$1,000. Where's the ring?
It got stolen along with my VCR and some other stuff of mine.
When?
I'm not exactly sure. It was in my girlfriend's car.
Did you file a police report?
No.
Why not?
Because I had to have her. It was in her car.
So what? If the property was stolen out of the car, why didn't you file a police report?
Well, I didn't find out about it until later.
I
Then
don't
couldn't
believe
get
you.
Well, it's true.
Oh, I don't believe you. How's that? You don't keep an engagement ring in a car.
No, she had my bags and stuff.
Did she have insurance?
No.
Then if she didn't have insurance, then you file a police report. Then you say to me, here's the police report. I listed it as an item that was stolen, and therefore I have some proof that it was stolen. So right now, sir, you're ahead of the game by $1,000.
Thank you.
On your claim. Now tell me about the van.
Okay, I bought, my mom left me money, and she had 3 wishes for me. One, okay, well, I bought this van on approximately October when I got a big a big check from my mom's inheritance that she left me. And she was supposed to go register the van as me as legal owner and her as registered owner.
Why did she do that?
For insurance purposes.
Why? What's wrong with you?
My record isn't very good that
Why?
way. Because I had a couple tickets at the time.
What else, sir?
And that's it. Just tickets.
So you put the van in her name?
No, it was never finished in her name. What it was, she was supposed to go take it down there, and then when she left, after a big heated argument, she took off, took the van, and just left. The next day I go down to the DMV to find out what's up. They tell me that she's trying to put this in her name. And so I says, wait a minute here, so the DMV puts a stop on it. And as my witness will tell you, he's seen the money exchange at the time.
How much did you pay for the van?
I paid approximately $3,300 for it.
Oh, okay. Now, what's your story about the van?
For one, he wasn't there.
Just tell me what your story is about the van.
Okay, when we were waiting for the house to go through probate, he lost his job. We needed money to pay the rent, and we sold the Volkswagen van so we could pay rent. And he said that he would buy me another van, and he was going to buy a truck. And he said...
All right, so you sold his car in order to pay the rent?
No, he gave it to me, and he kept saying, it's up to you, it's your van. If you want to sell it. I said, well, we need to pay our bills.
All right, let's go. Let's go. So now we went and bought the van. He bought the van with his money, is that right?
Yes.
Is that van titled now? Is there?
No, it's not. It's right through the middle of it all.
It's not complete, but I have the paperwork here.
Good. Can I have it, please?
And then there's some other
just give
jewelry
her
that's
all the
involved, too.
paperwork.
That's it. That's it.
And Your Honor?
What?
Can I say something else?
What?
When I went to the DMV to finish the paperwork, and the police came and said that it was on the hot sheet, I said, yes, I reported it stolen because it was stolen from behind my apartment.
How long did you people live together?
Off and on for like 15, 16 years. When my mom died, I tried to make it work, and it just wouldn't work. I was tired of taking care of her and her family. We went through a bundle of money, and like 3 months, we went through a lot of money.
And I don't have any indication that he made a gift of this van to you. He bought it, he paid for it, and shortly after you got it, you took off.
When I left, Your Honor, he said for me to sign off on the RV and he wouldn't give me any problems about the van.
That's baloney.
Oh, just 1 second, just 1 second. Hold on a second. Oh, here we... Hold on a second.
He was there. He was there.
Hold on a second. You bought an RV?
I bought this RV at the beginning of when my mom gave me a first $10,000 check. I bought an RV to live in because my mom, when she was on her dying bed, said to buy this so you make sure you have something to live in.
Just a second. What year was that?
2000.
And at that point, you'd been together with her 13 or 14
No,
years?
we really weren't together off and on. What happened
What does
was
that
we got back together when she was taking care of my mother.
He needed help.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
And when she got paid for it, I even took her to
just
Mexico
1
on a
second.
cruise.
So before that, you weren't living together?
No. We only actually lived together after my mom died for, 10 months or something like that. A relationship was just like that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He almost killed me when his mother was alive, and I told him if he laid a hand on me that I would leave.
I haven't touched you in over 10 years.
Listen to me. I'm not interested. Get over it.
And later today,
Have you ever known her to be psychiatrically hospitalized?
Yes.
How many times was she in a psychiatric hospital?
I really couldn't tell you because I'm so used to being incarcerated, so I couldn't tell you.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Merle Stutt says his former longtime girlfriend, Leylon Bailey, owes for the return of his van and the return of jewelry. Leylon says Merle has her belongings too.
Listen to me. Give him the title to his van.
Your Honor, he was there.
I don't care. He paid for the van. It's his van. He was stupid to say, go put it in your, you put it in your name.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
No, he told
quiet.
me to.
Quiet. We don't have a long-standing living together for 15 or 16 years. You've known each other 15 or 16 years. You actually lived together for 10 months after his mother died.
We lived together before. And he almost killed me when his mother was alive, and I told him if he laid a hand on me that I would leave.
Then why did you
I
go back?
haven't touched you in over 10 years.
Then why'd you
tell
go
it
back?
in the RV.
Listen to me. I'm not interested. Get over it. Get over it. You cared for her enough to give her an engagement ring, right?
Yes, at the time,
And he
yes.
bought me the van.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
yes, I'm agreeing with that.
Fine. And you get $1,000 for that because I don't believe her story for a second that it got stolen out of a car with a lot of other stuff without filing a police report because somebody has property that's stolen. You call the police and you say, this car was broken into and all my property was stolen. That's what a normal person does. All right. Now, you say that he has some of your personal property. What does he have of your personal property?
My microwave oven that my girlfriend gave to me.
Yeah.
He tried to give me an old broken down one.
Yeah.
And
What else?
my brass
Stop it.
collection, my angel collection.
What else?
And some clothes.
You have her angel collection?
She can have it all.
Sure.
She can
I
have it
want
all.
you to just pay attention to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have her angel collection?
Yes, it's in storage, and I'll give it back to her. So no
Pack
problem
it
at all.
nicely and give it back to her.
Yes.
Do you have a microwave that she had?
No.
Nothing else?
The microwave was given to both of
Listen
us
to
to put
me.
in a motorhome.
Anything else other than her angel collection?
I'll give her everything. I don't want none of her stuff.
What else do you have? I need to itemize it.
My mom gave her a rocking chair, which she can have, and the angel
And my sewing machine.
and the sewing machine. She can have that too.
What
Yeah,
else?
that's
So let's
all I
make it
took.
clear.
Okay.
Listen. The two of you, stop moving around so much. You're making me nervous. Angel collection, sewing machine, and a rocking chair. What else do you have, sir?
That's all. I don't know if the sewing machine and the rocking chair is in the garage because I went in there and she'd already been in the garage taking stuff out of it.
Do
so
you
we
have
to
the
ask her if she
sewing
took it
machine?
or not.
Yes, I got the sewing machine.
And what about the rocking chair?
I got the rocking chair. but-
Fine. So what we're talking about is an angel collection. 5 days from today, you make sure she gets
Oh, yeah, yeah, I will.
That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The only reason I left was because he hit me, and I told him if he got physically abusive with me again. Oh,
never
yeah,
touched
you
you.
never tried to kill me, huh?
I took her to Mexico, spent money on her, bought her clothes.
He almost
Okay.
killed me when his
But
mother was alive.
Giving her family money, taking care of everybody. And I just got tired of it.
If they've been physically abusive once, they'll never change.
3-year-old student Michelle Mergner is suing fellow partygoer 22-year-old cage fighter Drew Fickett for hitting golf balls off the roof of her car. Drew says Michelle is infatuated with him.
Order. Come to order. All rise.
Yeah, and this is case number 295 on the calendar in the matter of Mergner versus Fickett. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Mergner, you were at a party, and it is your claim that the defendant, while acting like a complete imbecile, started to hit golf balls off the hood of your car because somebody had said something to him that offended him. And he caused over $2,000 worth of damage to the roof of your car. Mr. Fickett says he did no such thing, and the only reason that you're suing him is probably because you were in some way infatuated with him, as all women are. And when you found out that he had a girlfriend, you probably got angry or something like that, right?
Something like that, Your Honor, yes.
Did you know him before this party?
No, I don't.
Who saw him on top of the car?
My witness, Joe Moore.
And I have the witness up here. Tell me your name, sir.
Joe Moore.
Mr. Moore, on what date was this party?
May 20-something. I'm not sure the exact date.
Where was it?
Tucson, Arizona, Grant and Silver Barrel.
At a friend's house.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the name of the friend?
Sean.
Don't look like a deer in headlights, sir. I'm not going to
Sure.
attack you. I'm just asking you some preliminary questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how many people were at this party?
30 at the most. A lot more than 30.
And was, don't speak until I speak to you. Was the defendant one of those people?
Yes, ma'am.
The plaintiff says that you actually observed the defendant doing something in or around or on her car.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what you saw.
I saw the defendant standing on top of the car and kind of give a little jump as to indent the roof of the car.
This is ridiculous, Your Honor. He has nothing to go on this.
I don't want you to speak. What word didn't you understand when I said it nicely before?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
I saw him do that and then proceed to like drop a golf ball and take the club and just start hitting a couple of golf balls after.
And then what did you do?
I turned around and I walked back in the house. I found my friend Shane, and I said, there's some guy outside jumping up and down on somebody's car, hitting golf balls off the top of the car with your golf clubs. So you might want to call the cops. You might want to come out here and check this out. And then
The police arrive?
No, ma'am. The police never arrived that night.
Who told you that something had happened to your car? Or did anybody?
Not until after the fact. He had already left. He basically wrecked the party. And my boyfriend had just graduated. It was his graduation party from the University of Arizona. So he decides to show up wearing an Arizona State hat. And
I don't care about that. I read that somebody was wearing the wrong kind of, he was wearing the wrong kind of
that's what
hat. Somebody
started
called him a jerk.
This is silly, Your Honor. This is what it's all about.
You're the...
Shh. Listen to me. When did you actually see the damage to your car?
Not until after he left, probably 2 in the morning.
Exactly.
Let me see the estimate for the damage.
This is the estimate.
Mr. Fickett, 2 times I've told you not to speak until I get to your side, which I believe I have assured you that...
I'm just shocked to hear all this. This is so ridiculous. Like, I can't believe she's like actually saying that she has nothing to go on, no proof.
My mouth is running. When my mouth is running, yours doesn't run.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm going to say it one more time, and I'm going to try to say it as tastefully and with as much judicial temperament as I can muster. Keep your mouth shut until I talk to you. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You have pictures of the car?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Looks like hail damage, Your Honor.
I assume what I'm looking at in some of these pictures are a footprint.
Yes. His footprints were all over.
Okay, now I'll hear you, Mr. Fickett.
All right, I went to this party. The only reason I went to this party was because my friend Nick, who wrestles at ASU, was visiting. And we went to the party, me and my girlfriend Kim here, went to the party just to hang out with him. We were having a casual discussion outside, me and my friend Nick. And from what she tells me, there were like a group of girls, maybe her friends, maybe someone didn't like her, maybe someone didn't like me. I don't know for what reason. There were a group of girls like, just whispering and gossiping like in the corner. She knows more about that than me. I was just hanging out. We were there maybe for an hour, hour and a half. It was graduation night at U of A. There were like 3 parties on the street. I wasn't even drinking. I mean, they were probably drunk as all hell being graduation. The reason I wasn't drinking was because I had a wrestling match the next morning. I fight professionally, and I'm known to be like rumored about to be like this big tough guy that causes all this trouble. And it's just a reputation that beholds me that isn't true. And this is just another jealous person or angry person that just wants to blame stuff on me, either because her car is really damaged, I don't know, or maybe she has something against me or my girlfriend.
She doesn't have anything against you.
Well, she has something against me if she wants to make this stuff up and
No,
bring me to court for
Mr.
it.
Fickett. Pay careful attention to me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
She doesn't have anything against you. She doesn't have anything against your girlfriend. She didn't see you do any damage to her car. She didn't tell the police she saw you do any damage to her car. She didn't tell me that she saw you do any damage to her car. He saw you do damage to her car. He doesn't want to date you. We don't want to blame the wrong person, do we?
No, ma'am.
You want to blame somebody. You blame Mr. Moore. Maybe he's jealous of you.
Any which way, she's coming up with a false witness
No.
to come up with her case.
No. She goes outside and she finds that her car has been damaged. She says, who damaged my car?
Well, if it was so urgent,
He
why
says-
weren't the cops there that night? Why didn't she call the cops that night? Why is my name not in the police report? I mean,
Just a second. They did call the police. But from what you tell me, sir, it was graduation night. The police were probably very, very busy and not swift to respond to some fool standing on top of a car hitting golf balls off somebody's roof. They had other things to worry about, so they didn't show up.
I
But
arrived
it
at
is
the party.
clear to me that somebody was on the hood of this car. It is clear to me that somebody took a flying leap while they were on this car. And what I would try to figure out, Mr. Fickett, is why Mr. Moore would lie to me about having seen you do that. Did you have any prior relationship with him? Did you have any
I don't know
prior
these
problem
people.
with
I was
him?
at the party because of a friend of a friend.
Okay. So you don't. Just a second. So you don't know him. Is that right? You don't know him at all.
No.
Why in the world would somebody make up a story like that about you?
Because it's petty girls crying about someone damaging their car and they need someone to blame.
So they blamed you.
I guess. Maybe they
You
don't
wanna
like
tell
Arizona
me
State.
something?
Beats me.
Step up, young lady.
I
Tell
was
me your
there.
name.
My name's Kim.
Okay, Kim.
And I was there with him the whole night. This is kind of almost funny to us. When you pull into the street, when we first pulled into the street of where the party was going on, we had no idea where it was because, like he said, there was three parties. I mean, it's a big street. We had to park like 2 streets down. There was tons of cars, tons of people walking around all over the place.
Get to the point.
Anybody could have done this. When he stands up here and gives like an oath, like, I'm sorry, but my dad's a minister. I don't know if you're religious, but that's like not cool. You don't stand up here because I was with him the whole night. The whole night. I stayed with him. I sat outside. Excuse me, I'm talking. I sat outside. I was talking to, I had seen a girlfriend of mine that I used to work with. He's talking to Nick. I'm talking to my girlfriend. An hour later, I go, I got a sociology class in the morning. You got a wrestling tournament. We better go. We hopped in the car. We said goodbye to everybody. And we left. The only person that we knew there was Nick and this girl that I had just seen there. And, you know, I mean, there was so many people there and there was so many parties going on at any time that I just can't comprehend how this guy is saying this. I was with him the whole night. I was by his side. I walked in the house at one point to go to the bathroom. And when he says 30 people, 70, if not more, when I walked in.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lovely young lady. Well, I have to make a judgment as to why Mr. Moore here would make up a story about having seen you cause the damage to the plaintiff's car. Now, I can understand why your girlfriend would tell me that you were together all evening, which isn't even true according to her, because she did go inside for a while to go to the bathroom. Probably was inside at least 10 minutes, because it takes that much time to get through 70 people to find out where the bathroom is and to get out. She wasn't with you the entire evening. The estimated damage is some $2,000 on this car, and it's not a new car.
Yeah, it's new to me, though.
I understand that. How much did you pay for it?
Roughly $5,000.
What do you mean, roughly $5,000?
Because my mom gave it to me. It was originally her car. So
it
has
was
low mileage on
originally
it.
her car, and your mother gave it to you as a
Yes,
gift.
because I'm going to school and I need a car.
Terrific. And this damage that was done to the car doesn't affect its drivability.
No, but I have to look at it every day and be
Of
reminded
course
of
you
him.
do. And I'm sure that if I award you
Okay.
$2,000, you're going to find a way to have it fixed for that $2,000. So that's what I'm awarding you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He likes to pick fights with people, and that's what he likes to do, and that's why he obviously wasn't invited. We don't associate with people like him.
They don't have anything better to do. They can't sit down and have a conversation like we were doing the whole night. They have to, yeah, dude, where's the pie of beer?
Everyone I talk to says he's psycho.
I've had jealous gossip about me before, and I just thought this was one of those cases. We found the golf club later, but it was broken in half at that point, so.
He fights in the Rage in the Cage circuit. That's number one reason why he's so well known, and that's why people think he's so crazy.
University of Arizona is the way to go.
3-year-old medical office assistant Aaron O'Neill says ex-fiancé Jason Valley owes for credit card charges. Jason says Aaron owes for improvements on a truck and for his prizes won in a wedding contest.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 59 on the calendar in the matter of O'Neill versus Valley. You're quite welcome. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Miss O'Neill, you and the defendant were engaged to be married, and according to your complaint, the defendant used your credit cards. You had not given him permission to use the credit cards, and he racked up bills in excess of $5,000.
Correct.
The defendant says that he had the right to use your credit cards. You had given him permission.
Correct.
You have a counterclaim, sir, that it's a whole potpourri of stuff. You claim that you put a lot of money in a truck that she kept and some other stuff, which you will explain to me later. Miss O'Neill, when were you and the defendant living together?
He moved in late September.
And tell me about the credit cards.
The credit cards are in my name and my name only. The credit cards had a zero balance, and I took the defendant once to go shopping for his children for Christmas presents. I was aware of that, and I'm not disputing those charges. And we also had put a down payment on my ring on that same credit card. He said it was his responsibility, and so when the statement came, he would make the payment directly to the credit card company. He'd give the envelope to me sealed, and I would mail it from my place of business, and so on and so forth.
He took the bill sealed?
He took the bill. He sealed, and I'm assuming opened it to pay it, but I never.
But you never opened the bill.
I didn't see the bill because, again, it was his responsibility because it was presents for his children, and again for the deposit on the ring. I didn't see the statement because I had nothing on there at that time. And Your Honor, I really do feel like this matter was something that was brought forth premeditated. I think that he.
Okay, so let's get to the story, and then we'll discuss whether it was premeditated or not.
Okay. I had the credit cards put safely in my bedroom because I was not going to be.
Well, so far you had one credit card that he used. What about the? You said
right.
Now you had
There's
another
a second card that had gotten mailed to me that I did not use anything for. We took one trip to Tahoe that we did use, and again, I'm not disputing those charges. We charged about $150 that weekend. So what had happened was I placed the Visa in the headboard of the bed, and then when the MasterCard came, I also put it with that as well.
When did you discover that there were excessive balances on the credit card?
On March 27th, I received a notice that there was a certified letter at the post office waiting for Jason that was for a storage unit that I had had my bed in that had all of his other belongings in it. So I was a little suspicious because obviously it wasn't a Christmas card, it was probably an eviction, and that means that he was back a couple months. So I confronted him that evening, and I asked him, how are we doing on the bills in general, my ring, the storage, little things like that. He said, oh, honey, we're caught up, we're fine, and also got offended that I would even ask him something like that. So he was at that point lying to my face. So that morning when he left for work on the 28th, I went through a side of his bed that there were drawers that he kept a number of receipts and tax return information. When I found the credit card statement, I noticed that I also found forged receipts that have my name forged in his handwriting, and also a lot of the receipts in his possession matched my credit card statements with an outrageous balance. So,
what was the balance?
The balance on the credit card was almost $6,000. That was the Visa, and the MasterCard was about $1,500.
You have those statements?
Yes.
I'd like to see them, please.
Did you want to see the forgeries too?
Yeah.
Okay. These are the receipts, and then these are some information along with my copies of my time card as to.
No, just give me the receipts, please, and the balance that you found on each of the cards. Am I correct that there was some cash withdrawals as well?
Correct. And I've never made a cash withdrawal, and I don't know how he got the PIN, but my name's Aaron, and he had commented once before that he had called for insurance purposes on the truck, that he used my name, Aaron, and he thought it was kind of humorous that he could get information using my name. And so I'm assuming he might have used that method to obtain a PIN number because I don't know my PIN. I've never used cash advance.
Did you ever get a PIN number yourself?
I never received one myself. I don't know if one was ever mailed or Because I don't use that. And, Your Honor, on a lot of the forgeries, too, he's misspelled my name, so.
Okay. Your turn.
Okay. Your Honor, I have some proof here, some letters here showing that she did give me permission to use the credit cards.
Mr. Valley, let's start from the beginning, sir. I want you to start with where you got the credit cards from when you took them out and used them and signed her name.
Your Honor, I used the credit that she gave me, the credit cards to hold in my wallet. There was nothing in, no coverage or nothing like that. She gave them to me when we go out at night and stuff like that. She didn't want to carry a purse, so she gave me her driver's license and her credit cards. Sometimes she'd have a little too much to drink or something like that, and we're checking out, okay, and it's like, you know, we're signing away, and she'll say, just sign the credit card. I didn't think this was a problem. I had no idea. I always had the credit cards in my possession because when I first met her, she used to keep her credit cards in the freezer in a bowl of water, okay, because she had using the credit cards too much. She racked up bills and stuff like that.
Yes.
When I first moved in, you know, she says, okay, you know, pay minimum rent. You know, here's my credit cards. You pay off your credit cards, okay? And she says, well, you know, I have a better interest rate that let's use my credit cards when we need them, as long as you pay me back. And I was making the payments. I
Just a
was paying
minute.
them back.
There we go. As long as you pay me back.
Yes.
Okay. You see, you keep talking. Sometimes if I let you keep talking, and you stick both feet in your mouth. So, you acknowledge, sir, let me take your best case scenario, that you used her credit cards, but the agreement was you would pay for those credit card bills.
Correct.
So why didn't you pay them?
I was paying. I have proof here that I was paying them every month.
How much were you
Okay,
paying?
I was paying $140 a month.
So therefore, Mr. Valley, you acknowledge that you owe her $5,000.
No.
Well, explain that to me, sir.
Because
either you took the credit cards, pay attention to what you just said. Either you took the credit cards, as she says, without her permission, or you had her permission, but your agreement was that you would be paying a minimal rent and you would take care of all the charges on the credit cards. That's what you just told me a moment ago. So explain to me why you don't owe her $5,000.
I was to take full responsibility what I put on the credit cards, Your Honor.
That's not what you told me, sir.
Well, that's
I mean,
what
how
I
does that work out? You order 2-egg roll, you pay for yours and you don't pay for hers?
No, Your Honor.
You put gas in the car, you split that down the middle. How does that work?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Chevy pickup, when we purchased it, it was bone stock.
No, I purchased the truck. He has credit worse than a 2-year-old.
And later today,
I apologized and I told her I was late on the payment and that I would get to it. She...
Talk. Did you make March's payment?
No.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Aaron O'Neill says ex-fiancé Jason Valley forged her signature to make unauthorized credit card charges. Jason says he had permission.
Go ahead.
If you look on the credit card statements, it shows her charges, then my charges. Her charges, then my charges.
I'm talking about your charges, which are in excess of $5,000, sir. Not her charges, the charges that you made, whether it be for gas or restaurants or anything else. Now, are you telling me now that your agreement was that you would split those charges 50-50?
We never had that agreement, no.
So your agreement was that you were supposed to pay the credit cards?
For my charges, yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. All right. So we just took care of that. Give a guy long enough, and he always just gets right in there. All right, Mr. Valley, now let's get to your counterclaim, sir. Let's start with this truck that you say she owes you money for.
Back in October, we purchased a 98 Chevy extended cab four-wheel drive together. Okay? My financing wasn't going to be the greatest. She said, let's put it in my name. We'll get a cheaper finance rate. The Chevy pickup, when we purchased it, it was bone stock. It was no add-ons, no nothing. I purchased lift kit, all kinds of accessories, and when we broke up, she came to my shop saying, I want the truck. I said, that's not a problem. I will take my stuff off. I will put your tires back on, do whatever has to be done. No, I want it now. I said, well, I'd like to have my property. And she says, no, take me to court.
Yes.
Okay. We purchased the truck? No. I purchased the truck. He has credit worse than a 2-year-old. I purchased the vehicle myself.
Who's making the payments on the truck?
He was making the payments on the truck, which I also show that he was also delinquent on the payments for the truck. So I had to pay $500 just to get current when all of this happened.
Who's making payments on the truck now?
He was. Oh, I am.
Now.
Oh, I am.
Is the truck in your name?
Yes. Always has been.
Did you ever make an arrangement with him that he would be reimbursed for any additions or any modifications that he put on the truck?
No.
All right. Now let's leave the truck for a minute. Did you enter some sort of a contest with him?
Yes.
All right. And that's the last part of your counterclaim, sir, that she owes you for half the prizes that were awarded to you as a couple from this dream wedding contest, which turned out to be not a dream wedding.
Nightmare.
So, tell me about that.
We won gift certificates to different places like jewelry stores, and it was like $3,000 in gift certificates.
Okay. You want to respond?
Yes, Your Honor. The total for the gift certificates retail face value was $3,305. None of the gift certificates have been used. I have sold about half of them in retail value, and I have had $1,200 from those gift certificates, and I'm also showing that...
Show it to him, as a matter of fact, first, before you give it to me.
And I also have the original entry showing that it's all in my handwriting and my effort that was placed forth, and again, my effort to sell.
But you won as a couple?
Correct.
All right, and you sold some of them, is that right?
Right, and the ones I have remaining that I did not sell actually equal $50 greater value than the profit that I made on the ones I sold, and I'm more than welcome to hand them over to him now.
Okay. Mr. Valley, you want the other half of the gift certificates?
That's fine, Your Honor.
Give them to him. Perfect.
There's the photographer, $955, the caterer for $250, and then 2 vacations. One has a retail value of $475, and the other's unmarked, but it, I'm assuming is...
Whatever. That's what he wants. He wants to sell it or he wants to use it. All right. Now, I think that we have resolved this matter. Mr. Valley, you owe $5,000 for the charges that you put on her credit cards that, according to you, you were supposed to pay for. According to her, you stole. I take your word for the fact that you had a permission, but you agreed to pay for them. So you owe $5,000. The vacation packages and the photographer, you have half the value of the gift certificates. As far as the truck is concerned, I find that there was never an agreement that you would be reimbursed for anything that you put in the truck. The truck is in her name. She is currently paying for the truck, so for the truck you get nothing. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $5,000. Thank you.
इसका समय हो गया है और कप्तान अंपायर मैदान पर हेड्स चुना है कप्तान ने एंड वीव गॉट हेड्स टॉस जीत के गेंदबाजी का फैसला नई गेंद आज पूछेगी थोड़ा सा बदलाव करने की है कोशिश गति में मिश्रण के साथ चकमा देने का किया है प्रयास अच्छी स्लो में फुर्ती से भागना होगा अगर जीवित रहना चाहते हैं तो इस बॉल को रोकना मुश्किल ही नहीं नामुमकिन है मेरे दोस्त चेंज ऑफ पेस गति में परिवर्तन फ्लोर गेंद पिच में थोड़ी सी मदद मौजूद है और गेंदबाज के हाथ में रिवर्स स्विंग का जादू है बढ़िया गेंदबाजी बॉल को पुश टेक्निकली परफेक्ट फील्डर और गेंदबाज का अच्छा इस मौके को चौके में किया तब्दील ओवर को किया समाप्त टर्न होगी क्या गेंद स्टंप पे जाके लगेगी चतुर है गेंदबाज दूसरे से छकाया बल्लेबाज को बढ़िया जजमेंट खूबसूरत गेंद हवा में तैरती हुई नजर आई है बल्लेबाज भी हैं खामोश बहुत आसान सा कैच डीप में, ऐसा लगता है फ्री होम डिलीवरी देकर गए हैं कैच। और इस इनिंग की पहली विकेट गेंदबाज के नाम। बिल्कुल साधारण बल्लेबाजी, गिफ्ट में ये टीम की उम्मीदों पे खरा उतरेगा। सुरक्षित हाथ हैं इस फील्डर के। कैच। 2 गेंदों पर 2 विकेट चटका चुके हैं, गेंदबाज हैट्रिक पर हैं। अपनी विकेट सटीक थ्रो, डायरेक्ट हिट, बल्लेबाज खतरे। ओवर की छठी गेंद, लेकिन बटोरा है चौका। जब विकेट की हो तलाश तो गेंद थमा दीजिए अपने लेग स्पिनर को। बढ़िया गुगली, लेकिन पढ़ लेता मैं शायद, क्योंकि was about to bowl it. फील्डर की अच्छी एफर्ट और बढ़िया थ्रो भी। बाजी का फैसला, लेकिन क्या पारी ओवर कर पाएंगे ये बल्लेबाज की। इट्स अ गुगली। खराब टाइमिंग, संकट के बादल मंडरा रहे हैं इस बल्लेबाज पर। हाँ और ना में टाइम वेस्ट नहीं किया, बढ़िया रनिंग बिटवीन द विकेट्स। थोड़ा सा गेंद को हवा में फ्लाइट दी है, टॉप स्पिन का किया है इस्तेमाल। ना ना ना, बिल्कुल नहीं पड़ पाए इस गेंद को और अब फंस गए हैं बल्लेबाज। व्हाट अ विकेट! क्या इतनी अद्भुत कैच पकड़ी जाएगी, ऐसा सोचा नहीं था बल्लेबाज ने। बढ़िया पकड़ा कैच, तोहफे में दे गए अपनी विकेट। अगर मैंने ऐसा किया होता। क्रीज पर आए हैं नए बल्लेबाज। ये गूगली डाल दी गेंदबाज ने। फील्डर का बढ़िया थ्रो, एकदम स्टंप्स के ऊपर। जबरदस्त गुगली, चकमा दिया बल्लेबाज को। भाग्यशाली की दुर्घटना नहीं घटी, बल्लेबाज को थोड़ा क्रैम्प किया। एक और डॉट बॉल गेंदबाज की। मिश्रण का अच्छा प्रयोग, गुगली का किया इस्तेमाल। फील्डर और गेंदबाज का अच्छा तालमेल, बढ़िया थ्रो।